Chapter 3681, Do You Believe in Fate? The Dragon Lake King barely escaped with its life, its body burned and bruised, looking quite pitiful. Fortunately, it was a king of a small spirit domain, with powerful strength and nourished by a primordial void treasure. The chaotic mist transformed into lake water, helping it recover somewhat. Initially, the Dragon Lake King thought it could seek revenge against Lin Moyu by asking the discernment beast to teach him a lesson. However, upon hearing the discernment beast's words, its spirit sank. The Dragon Lake King acted like a child, stubbornly saying, "I won't apologize, I did nothing wrong." The discernment beast's tone quickly turned severe. "If you don't apologize, leave the Golden Furnace Great Soul Domain from now on." At that moment, the Dragon Lake King's expression was as rich as a human's, with eyes showing 7 parts grievance and 3 parts resentment. Eventually, it softened and apologized to Lin Moyu. "I was wrong, sorry." Lin Moyu didn't say anything, merely humming in acceptance of the apology. The Dragon Lake King was quite displeased, having cursed Lin Moyu countless times in its heart. However, it also deeply feared Lin Moyu and didn't dare look him straight in the eye. The discernment beast said, "The child doesn't understand, Lin friend is magnanimous. Don't mind it anymore, I'll discipline it when we return." Lin Moyu nodded and tossed out a spiritual flower. "As long as it wasn't killed, it can be saved." Hearing this, the Dragon Lake King shivered. It wasn't foolish and understood that Lin Moyu's words were telling the discernment beast to scold it thoroughly before using the spiritual flower to heal it. "This person is so venomous." The Dragon Lake King muttered to itself, its fear of Lin Moyu deepening. The discernment beast collected the spiritual flower. "Thank you, Lin friend. I'll leave now." It ordered the Dragon Lake King to return, and the Dragon Lake King was eager to leave, disappearing in an instant. Lin Moyu pondered. The discernment beast's attitude is overly kind. Previously, our interaction was equal, it neither looked down on me nor was overly submissive. What happened to make the discernment beast treat me so well? He roughly understood that the Dragon Lake King was the discernment beast's pet. The pet was bullied, yet the discernment beast wasn't angry and even apologized. This was somewhat unusual. However, Lin Moyu didn't dwell on it. There were too many inexplicable things in the world. His attention remained on the world's origin core, where the Soul Heart King was still battling the world's will. The Soul Heart King's will was firm, not falling behind in the struggle. It continuously launched attacks against the world's will. The world's will guarded its world tightly, and this was no longer a contest of power but a test of the Soul Heart King's Tao heart. Lin Moyu could sense the Soul Heart King's powerful Tao heart, accumulated over countless years, almost becoming an obsession. For the Soul Heart King, this struggle was a matter of victory or death, with no room for defeat. When a powerful being no longer fears death, the power it can unleash is terrifying. The battle shifted from intense to stalemate, and then the Soul Heart King began to gain the upper hand. It started to erode the world's will, aiming to leave an eternal, indestructible mark on this world. Lin Moyu watched the entire process, aware that he was witnessing the birth of a transcendent being. In the history of the Void Realm, successful transcendence was rare, making this moment precious and not to be missed. The Soul Heart King gradually consumed the world's will, pushing it back until it had nowhere to retreat. Finally, the world's will's last resistance was crushed, and Lin Moyu felt the world's will collapse, becoming the Soul Heart King's sustenance. From that moment on, the Soul Heart King replaced the world's will, becoming the master of this world. The world's origin core roared, as massive chaotic mist rushed towards it. The surrounding great Tao energies vibrated, with various great Taos humming in celebration, as if cheering for the birth of a new era. The world hadn't changed, it just had a new master. The transition was like the world's rebirth, and the great Tao naturally rejoiced. "History belongs to the victors," Lin Moyu muttered to himself. No one would care about who the world belonged to before. Others would only know who the current master was. The chaotic mist wrapped around the great Tao energy, continuously flowing into the origin core. The entire world benefited from the Soul Heart King, becoming stronger. As soon as the Soul Heart King became the world's master, it began to direct the world's changes. This world, once nameless, should now be called the Soul Heart World. A moment later, the Soul Heart King's virtual image appeared outside the origin core. It took on a human form and bowed to Lin Moyu from afar. "Thank you, Lin friend, for your assistance. This kindness will never be forgotten." Lin Moyu flew over and said loudly, "Congratulations, Soul Heart King, on achieving your wish. This world will surely become powerful under your guidance." The Soul Heart King shook its head. Whether the world is strong or not, I have no great expectations. Everything has its destiny. The great Tao cannot be defied. Some things cannot be forced. Lin Moyu furrowed his brow. What do you mean by this? The Soul Heart King suddenly sighed. The transcendence we void beasts yearn for is actually just entering another circle. But to reach this point is already not easy, so I dare not ask for more. I'll just follow fate from now on. It pondered for a moment before asking, Lin friend, do you believe in fate? Lin Moyu didn't expect this question and replied, I both believe and don't believe. The Soul Heart King chuckled. It's good that you don't believe. Once you believe in fate, your achievements will be limited to that. The kindness you've shown me, I have no way to repay. Here is a strand of the world's energy, a token of my intention. I hope you won't mind it. As it spoke, the Soul Heart King condensed a small light in its palm, which contained the most fundamental world's chronology. Lin Moyu felt this world's energy was very similar to the power in the world crystals he had refined before. Lin Moyu said, this will harm your world. The Soul Heart King smiled. It doesn't matter, it can recover. Lin Moyu didn't decline further and accepted the world's energy. This energy was far more powerful than the world crystals he had refined before. After all, those were from a dead world, while this one was full of vitality. The Soul Heart King said, I've just taken over the world, and there's much to do. I won't accompany you further. Lin Moyu bowed slightly. Then we'll meet again if fate allows it. May we meet again. The two bid farewell, and the world's origin core erupted with dense mist, completely obscuring itself. As a result, the origin core began to change its position, and the entire world started moving. Lin Moyu knew that this parting might be a permanent goodbye. He watched as the Soul Heart world receded into the distance, aware that their existence was like a grain in the vast ocean. To meet again would truly depend on fate. Lin Moyu's gaze was thoughtful. In their brief conversation, the Soul Heart King had revealed much information. Its pursuit of transcendence wasn't true transcendence but rather moving from one circle to another. The Soul Heart King was telling him not to become a servant to the world like it had. ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up. Go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3682, 3682. Chapter 3682, Truly Brave. Don't become the master of a world. The Soul Heart King didn't say it explicitly, but Lin Moyu caught the true meaning from its words. Clearly, after becoming the world's master, the Soul Heart King had learned some new information. This information could be hidden deep within the world, only accessible to those who became the world's master. It wasn't like a large world but had to be like the origin continent, with an independent great Tao and a massive projection in the void realm. Lin Moyu pondered the Soul Heart King's words, focusing on the phrase, do you believe in fate? These 4 words were the most important. Gradually, he understood their meaning. The so-called fate wasn't about destiny but rather about one's limit or potential. Potential was mysterious and complex, influenced by factors like fate, opportunity, effort, and Tao heart. Most people couldn't reach their full potential due to various reasons. Living beings had limits, and so did worlds. The Soul Heart King had hoped that after mastering the world, it would become incredibly strong. However, it saw its own limit, which was a despairing realization. Due to certain rules, the Soul Heart King couldn't express this openly, so it asked, do you believe in fate? Lin Moyu naturally didn't believe in fate, as limits weren't unbreakable. However, once you believed in fate, your potential would hardly change. The Soul Heart King warned against becoming the world's master, but it didn't realize it was already a master of its own world. Its own world had no limits, or if it did, they were meant to be shattered. Since the Soul Heart King was well-intentioned, Lin Moyu accepted its warning. No wonder the discernment beast never considers transcendence. Perhaps the emperors it associates with also don't consider it. Transcendence isn't true transcendence but rather moving from a smaller circle to a larger one. Those who dare to transcend are truly brave. They refuse to be confined to a circle and dare to try. Lin Moyu felt that the Soul Heart King was still brave. From its words, he could tell that it wasn't content with its potential and even thought about breaking through its limits. For such a person, how could one laugh at them as foolish? On the other hand, beings like the discernment beast, although powerful and ancient, seemed somewhat contemptible. Lin Moyu didn't linger and turned to leave. The Soul Heart King had achieved its wish, and he had his own things to attend to. He needed to continue cultivating. As a third-tier soul, he wasn't strong enough. After completing his mission on the Origin continent, he planned to accompany Antares in ascending to the dragon race's great Tao. The power of a third-tier soul was far from sufficient. Through his connection with the soul world, Lin Moyu knew everything was fine there. His journey into the Void Realm had already passed over 160 years. According to the Origin continent's evolution, in a few more decades, the 7th-tier soul's Great Tao realm would be accessible. By then, the strong from the external Great Tao would completely suppress the strong on the Origin continent. However, with him holding them back, there shouldn't be major issues. The top forces on the Origin continent all had some background from the external Great Tao, though they weren't strong. They could exert some influence and wouldn't dare act recklessly on the continent. But if time passed further, with the arrival of 6th or 5th-tier soul Great Tao realms, things might become unpredictable. Looking at the timeline, a few hundred years was just a blink of an eye. The tidal storm had just passed, and many void beasts in the void realm were still recovering from their losses. For Lin Moyu, luring and killing large numbers of void beasts had become more difficult, with efficiency greatly reduced. He went to unexplored small spirit domains, using his undead legion to attract void beasts and then employing the thousand paths and myriad phenomena formation to trap and kill them, refining them into soul crystals. As his cultivation level increased, the demand for soul crystals grew more extreme. To advance a small realm, he needed at least tens of thousands of high-quality soul crystals. Lin Moyu felt the progress was too slow. He hadn't considered that reaching the level of a third-tier soul was rare even among ancient Great Tao realms. Who wasn't a result of hundreds of millions of years of cultivation? Others had spent vast amounts of time to achieve their strength, while he had caught up in just a few hundred years. If people knew, they would probably want to kill him. On the Origin continent, after the heaven and earth changed, the Great Tao had evolved over 300 years, finally allowing third-tier soul Great Tao realms to enter. 6th-tier soul Great Tao realms were no longer weak. A casual strike could damage the Origin continent. Even after 300 years of Great Tao nourishment, the current Origin continent was much more robust than it was 300 years ago. However, it still couldn't withstand the reckless destruction of a 6th-tier soul Great Tao realm. Therefore, the Great Tao had its rules. If anyone dared to harm the Origin continent, the Great Tao's punishment would be severe. Those who entered as Great Tao realms mostly did so to pass on their teachings and wouldn't cause major conflicts. On the central continent, Lin Moyu remained, while Antares had been motionless for over 100 years, resembling a mountain. If not for the dragon breath constantly coming from its nostrils, people would have thought it was dead. The Great Tao realms from the external Great Tao coexisted peacefully, but the native forces on the Origin continent were not so tranquil. Many forces had always been at odds, and even with external pressure, they couldn't be suppressed indefinitely. After a period of calm, conflicts inevitably arose, starting with small-scale clashes that escalated into large-scale ones. Tao Venerables joined the battles, expanding the conflict scale. Defeated forces sought aid from all sides, making the power dynamics on the Origin continent complex and intertwined like a spider's web. Finally, the top forces' strong members intervened. However, they discovered that the smaller forces were not simple and had complex motives behind their conflicts. Some small forces, though not large in scale, had long-standing legacies and even had strong backers from the external Great Tao. With such support, they had their own ideas and sought to break free from the top forces' control. The conflicts escalated towards the Great Tao realm level. Because the Origin continent had become robust enough, 9th-tier soul Great Tao realms could now act, as long as they didn't cause chaos. The Great Tao wouldn't impose punishment. Afterward, the Origin continent became even more chaotic, with battles everywhere. Not just the southern continent but also the eastern continent was affected. Eventually, even the northern continent's demon race began to fight among themselves. Many ancestors from the demon race returned from the external Great Tao, and several royal families were suppressed. The demon emperor didn't appear during this time, seemingly no longer concerned with demon race affairs. On the other hand, the western continent became the most peaceful. The Origin continent was in turmoil, but everyone exercised restraint, avoiding a complete mess. Until 10 years ago, when the Coldwater Holy Land and the Question Tao sect officially went to war, the situation truly boiled over. Following this, the 7-star Holy Land and the Dance House also clashed. The human race on the southern continent suffered heavy casualties, with many strong figures severely injured or fallen. Overall, however, a relative balance was maintained. A year ago, a protective Great Tao fortress slowly emerged from the external Great Tao. Due to special reasons, the external Great Tao didn't stop the protective fortress. ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up. Go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3683, 3683. Chapter 3683, you can all try. A protective Great Tao fortress suddenly appeared in the void and slowly entered the origin continent. Its appearance drew the attention of many, with numerous Great Tao realms revealing shocked expressions. The protective fortress wasn't completely destroyed during the origin catastrophe. Who repaired it? This isn't important. What matters is how it entered. The core materials of the protective fortress come from the origin continent, making it a part of the continent. Naturally, it wouldn't be blocked. At its peak, the protective fortress's strength wouldn't be much weaker than a 4th-tier Soul's Great Tao realm. If it's truly been repaired, wouldn't it be invincible? What's invincible? You don't see the dragon in the central continent who dares say they're invincible. It's different. The protective fortress can be considered part of the origin continent. Attacking it is like attacking the continent itself. Yes, even if that dragon is powerful, it wouldn't dare attack the protective fortress, or it would face punishment. Whoever came up with this plan is brilliant. This has completely disrupted the balance of power on the origin continent. If the balance on the origin continent is broken, even if Lin Moyu has the mandate of heaven, he won't be able to avoid punishment. Amidst these discussions, people wanted to see how Lin Moyu would respond. No matter what he did, it seemed difficult to resolve the situation. The person who could repair the protective fortress must not be ordinary. People instinctively thought of the Hell Alliance, as they had suffered a significant loss at Lin Moyu's hands and vowed to make him pay. Antares watched the protective fortress enter the origin continent, his eyes narrowing slightly. You're looking for trouble before I even go find you. He was unlike ordinary Great Tao realms. He sensed the dragon race's aura from the protective fortress. This fortress was repaired by the dragon race, meaning it was aimed at him. If he didn't act, the protective fortress had enough power to disrupt the balance on the origin continent. Regardless of its actions or allegiance, the balance would be shattered, damaging the origin continent and resulting in Lin Moyu being punished. If he acted, it would be like attacking the origin continent, and he would be punished instead. This plan was indeed vicious. Antares said coldly, "Do you think I care about this small punishment?" He breathed out dragon breath, and countless divine dragons emerged, instantly engulfing the protective fortress. The Great Tao roared, and the fortress radiated a brilliant light, unleashing powerful energy. As the main defense of the origin continent in the past, the protective fortress was incredibly strong. Even though it was far weaker now, it wouldn't be inferior to a lower-tier Soul's Great Tao realm. The formations within the fortress activated, launching a counterattack. However, facing Antares' assault, the fortress was clearly no match and was torn to shreds in an instant. Antares continued to breathe dragon fire, burning the entire fortress to ashes. The Great Tao roared incessantly, and streaks of light appeared on the origin continent, resembling rainbows but emitting a sharp killing intent. Antares had destroyed the protective fortress, effectively attacking the origin continent. The Great Tao would impose punishment. Antares raised his dragon head, unafraid. "Come on, let's see how severe this punishment is." The light transformed into massive whips that struck Antares, causing his skin to split and reveal wounds from which origin chi flowed out. Under the Great Tao's punishment, Antares' power was diminishing. Yet, he remained unmoved. He declared loudly, "You scoundrels in the dragon race, listen well. We have another score to settle. When I come, you'd better be prepared to die. I'll give you a chance. If you escape the dragon race before I arrive, I'll spare you. Anyone still in the dragon race will die." Antares' voice was filled with madness, and he charged into the external Great Tao. Everyone was shocked by the intensity of his killing intent and the depth of his hatred for the dragon race. Hatred can accumulate, and Antares' hatred was something few could understand, except perhaps Lin Moyu. Just as everyone felt Antares' killing intent was astonishing, an even more overwhelming killing aura surged up. The aura transformed into black mist and then into a stormy vortex, dispersing the Great Tao whips. Along with it, a Great Tao emerged, resonating with the killing aura. This Great Tao appeared, causing nearby Great Dao realm strongholds to retreat in terror. The Slaughter Dao. Heaven, someone has actually grasped this Dao. How many lives will they take? The Slaughter Dao hasn't appeared in years. Could it be that a killing god has descended? Even the 1,000-star Dao Lord, who controls the slaughter aspect of the Angle Whale Star, couldn't summon the Slaughter Dao. As the Great Dao realms watched in horror, Lin Moyu slowly emerged. A dense killing aura emanated from Lin Moyu, and everyone realized he was the source of the aura and the one who summoned the Slaughter Dao. Lin Moyu waved his hand, and the killing aura merged with the Slaughter Dao. A figure in black appeared in the void, standing with its hands behind its back. Its gaze swept across the external void, causing a chill to run down the spines of all the Great Dao realms it touched. Lin Moyu used his illusory body to combine all his killing aura with the Slaughter Dao, forming a slaughter-controlling avatar. This avatar possessed the strength of a third-tier soul's Great Dao realm, enough to crush anyone on the current origin continent. Lin Moyu released a burst of white light that fell like rain on Antares, quickly healing his gruesome wounds. In the next breath, a massive aura of fate emerged from Lin Moyu, and the Fate Dao appeared, enveloping Antares in misty clouds. Antares let out a comfortable dragon roar as his damaged strength and cultivation were fully restored. Lin Moyu declared loudly, "The dragon race's actions are meant to hinder my path, creating a deep blood feud. This feud can only be repaid in blood. Once the mandate of heaven ends, I will visit the dragon race. There are many protective fortresses. If the dragon race likes to repair them, they can repair as many as they want." As he finished speaking, the Great Dao energy on the origin continent surged upward, impacting the external void. Originally hidden in spatial layers, numerous protective fortresses appeared. These fortresses were diverse and damaged but all carried the origin continent's aura, as they were crafted from materials from the continent. Hundreds of protective fortresses hovered in the external void. Lin Moyu declared, "Whoever repairs them will be my Great Dao enemy. You can all try." He then looked towards the distant southern continent. "The southern continent is too chaotic, stop it." His words seemed to represent the mandate of heaven, as countless thunderbolts fell from the southern continent, his voice spreading with the thunder. Those fighting on the southern continent stopped, but not everyone heeded Lin Moyu's words. Some resumed fighting, only to be struck by thunderbolts and turn to dust. Lin Moyu watched all this, snorting lightly, "Those who don't listen deserve it." ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up. Go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3684, 3684. Chapter 3684, Private Intentions. No one knew what had happened to Lin Moyu, how he became so formidable in just a few hundred years. He dispersed the Great Dao's punishment with killing aura, condensed a Great Dao body, and spoke with authority, unleashing thunderous punishments. At this moment, Lin Moyu was like a representative of the Great Dao. Everyone was shocked, and anyone with a bit of sense could feel that Lin Moyu was not to be trifled with. Having the mandate of heaven, Lin Moyu could manipulate the Great Dao to some extent. If one were to confront him directly, it would be like opposing the Great Dao itself. For cultivators under the Great Dao, going against it was akin to seeking death. The Great Dao roared, and the light reappeared, with another punishment descending. This time, the punishment targeted Lin Moyu for dispersing the previous Great Dao punishment aimed at Antares. The Great Dao is impartial, it rewards and punishes accordingly, never offsetting one with the other. Lin Moyu understood this clearly and accepted it calmly. He had used killing aura to summon the Slaughter Dao, dispersing the Great Dao's punishment and condensing a Great Dao body. Now, the Great Dao's punishment fell upon the Slaughter Dao's body, not his true self. Lin Moyu's mind was clear. He knew that while the Great Dao seemed impartial, it wasn't truly so. If someone else had done this, their true body would have been targeted, not just their avatar. But the Great Dao targeted his avatar, which could be seen as protection, since he was now aligned with the Great Dao. The light transformed into Great Dao whips that struck the Slaughter Dao body, causing its skin to split and flesh to tear. Lin Moyu allowed the Slaughter Dao body to suffer the punishment without penalty, as the killing aura was merely a byproduct of his actions over the years. The Slaughter Dao body being torn apart didn't harm him. Antares gazed at Lin Moyu. "Kid, you're impressive. What have you experienced these years?" Only Antares could see Lin Moyu's cultivation level, which had reached the high stage of a third-tier soul's Great Dao realm. This speed was terrifying, surpassing others who had cultivated for millions of years. Lin Moyu smiled without speaking. With a thought, he began drawing divine runes in the void, creating over 100 at once. Initially, the speed was somewhat slow, but it quickly accelerated. The first 100 runes were completed in under 10 seconds, combining to form an formation. The next 100 runes were drawn even faster, taking only 7 seconds. The third batch required just 4 seconds. Antares' dragon mouth hung open in astonishment, unable to speak. His surprise was akin to fear in others' eyes. Drawing divine runes wasn't unusual, many great Dao realms could do it to some extent. However, drawing hundreds simultaneously was different. Moreover, Lin Moyu didn't even use his hands, he drew them purely with his soul power, and his speed increased. By the time he drew the fourth batch, it took only 1 second. This was almost as fast as one thought forms a rune, a legendary feat. Someone exclaimed, he can form runes with just a thought. It's almost as if he's achieved one thought forms a rune. Not quite, but he needs only 1 second. Moreover, he can draw hundreds of runes at once, which is even more terrifying. Is he a freak? Divine runes can be used like this. One thought forms a rune is already legendary, but he's almost achieved forming 100 runes with one thought. Those who specialize in divine runes can just retire. 1,000 divine runes glimmered in the air, weaving into a sea of runes. Lin Moyu finally stopped. Antares asked, "What are you doing?" Lin Moyu replied lightly, "Just getting accustomed to things. The void realm and the real world are different. I'm also showing off a bit to warn some people not to bother me for now. I need to set up an formation. One action, multiple purposes." The divine runes intertwined, quickly forming an formation. In an instant, winds and clouds rose on the origin continent, as countless great Dao energies transformed into mist and were drawn into the formation, enveloping Lin Moyu and Antares. This formation was a simplified version of the Thousand Paths and Myriad Phenomena formation. Although its power wasn't as great as the one in the Void Realm, it was enough to handle a second-tier Soul's Great Dao realm. As the Great Dao on the origin continent evolved, every 100 years, the power it could accommodate increased by 1 level. Currently, 6th-tier Soul Great Dao realms could enter, and in another 400 years, 2nd-tier Soul Great Dao realms would be able to descend. By then, even Antares would face trouble, as acting on the origin continent wasn't easy. Causing damage would result in punishment. However, with the Thousand Paths and Myriad Phenomena formation, there would be fewer concerns, allowing full use of the formation to counter opponents. This formation was not only Lin Moyu's deterrent but also an experiment. He didn't use origin crystals as materials, instead, he used his soul power to absorb great Dao energy and maintain the divine runes. From his current perspective, using origin crystals for divine runes wasn't the most brilliant method. The best approach was to fuse great Dao energy with his soul, making the divine rune materials inexhaustible and highly effective. This was Lin Moyu's insight from the Void Realm, which he confirmed was applicable on the origin continent after trying it. After setting up the Thousand Paths and Myriad Phenomena formation, Lin Moyu crafted an formation disc and handed it to Antares. "When I'm not here, please control this formation. If the Great Dao imposes a punishment, you can also manipulate my slaughter body to take the punishment." Lin Moyu looked up at the sky. The Great Dao whips were becoming fewer, and the punishment was nearing its end. The slaughter body recovered, its killing aura intangible and difficult to break. Antares asked, "How long do you plan to stay?" Lin Moyu shook his head. "I don't know. I've hit a bottleneck, and this step is difficult." Antares said, "Reaching the 2nd-tier soul from the 3rd-tier soul is a big bottleneck." He recalled that he hadn't faced such a significant hurdle in the past. Although it wasn't easy, it wasn't insurmountable. Lin Moyu could reach the high stage of a 3rd-tier soul in just a few hundred years. How could he be stuck? Lin Moyu replied, "My situation is special. It's hard to explain in a few words. After handling things here, I'll re-enter the Void Realm." Antares asked, "What do you need to handle here?" "Apart from some native forces, those from the external Great Dao are relatively well behaved and haven't caused any trouble." Lin Moyu said, "People have private intentions. The Cold Water Holy Land's ancestor is my friend, and the Holy Lord is my aunt. There are things I need to help with." Antares chuckled, "So that's it. You've always been like this, leaving your mark everywhere, and it hasn't changed even on the origin continent." Lin Moyu didn't bother explaining. The dragon race was completely different from him in this regard. The Thousand Paths and Myriad Phenomena formation rose with dense mist, spreading great Dao energy and enveloping the surroundings, hiding their figures. Only Antares' dragon head was faintly visible. With the formation blocking the way, no one could see Lin Moyu's cultivation level or know what he would do next. ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up. Go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3685, 3685. Chapter 3685, He Wants to Kill. Lin Moyu's return was indeed due to encountering a bottleneck. After the Soul Heart King's transcendence, he had been hunting void beasts in the Golden Furnace Great Soul Domain. Due to the Golden Furnace Emperor's warning, Lin Moyu no longer targeted small spirit domain kings. However, since the tidal storm had just ended, many small spirit domains were not in a state of dormancy. When he encountered such small spirit domains, Lin Moyu wouldn't hesitate and would directly take them over. He now controlled nearly 50 small spirit domains. However, they were too far apart, separated by other small spirit domains, so they couldn't be merged and didn't benefit Lin Moyu. His cultivation had grown stronger through the process of slaughtering void beasts and refining soul crystals. In just over 100 years, he had advanced to the high stage of a third-tier soul. However, no matter how many soul crystals he refined, he couldn't progress further. Finally, he returned to the Soul Heart King's small spirit domain. Since the Soul Heart King had transcended, the domain was now ownerless and close enough to merge with his own domains. Lin Moyu naturally became the king of the Soul Heart small spirit domain and merged it with his own. After merging, his soul power increased slightly but not enough to help him break through to the second-tier soul. Lin Moyu realized he had hit a bottleneck. He then returned to his soul world and used the Fate Dao to simulate and ponder his bottleneck. He meditated for nearly 50 years in his soul world and finally found some clues. Actually, he had returned 50 years ago and was aware of recent events on the Origin continent. He knew his deterrent effect would weaken over time until it disappeared completely. Moreover, those from the external Great Dao would certainly continue to cause trouble. The appearance of the protective fortresses was quite normal. He wasn't afraid of strong enemies but rather those hiding in the shadows like invisible snakes, ready to strike unexpectedly. If these snakes were out in the open, they wouldn't be as dangerous. So, Lin Moyu used the Great Dao's power to reveal all the protective fortresses, putting everything out in the open. He wanted his enemies to come at him openly, without resorting to underhanded tactics. Lin Moyu shared his thoughts with Antares and then left, using the Great Dao's temporary authority. Under the cover of the Thousand Paths and Myriad Phenomena formation, no one except Antares knew Lin Moyu had departed. Lin Moyu appeared above the southern continent, where a massive city lay below. Snowflakes fell from the sky, and Lin Moyu's figure blended with them, making his presence unknown. From the city below, countless voices reached his ears. The Cold Water Holy Land and the Question Dao sector fighting more fiercely. The battlefield spans tens of thousands of miles, and several cities have been reduced to ruins. It's true the Cold Water Holy Land evacuated its people early, but the Question Dao sect suffered greatly. The ordinary people are being slaughtered. The Question Dao sect has 6 large cities and 13 small ones, with over 16 million people, not a single one alive. Alas, when gods fight, mortals suffer. Those people are truly pitiful. I don't know when this great war will end. It's said the Question Dao sect intentionally let these people die. They're preparing a secret ritual. If successful, the Cold Water Holy Land will be severely damaged. Lin Moyu moved to another city and heard more voices. The southern continent had been extremely unstable over the past few decades, with constant conflicts between various forces. From small skirmishes among minor forces to intense battles between major ones, many cultivators had died. However, more ordinary people were killed, caught in the crossfire, with casualties impossible to count. The Cold Water Holy Land took care of its ordinary people, evacuating them in advance, which reduced casualties. In contrast, forces like the Question Dao sect treated lives as worthless and didn't care. They even used ordinary people to perform secret rituals, employing extremely vicious methods. Since these people were native to the Origin continent, no matter how they died, it was considered an internal affair, and the Great Dao wouldn't intervene. However, Lin Moyu would intervene because he was human and had personal feelings. He sided with the Cold Water Holy Land. According to my calculations, the bottleneck comes from 2 sources. First, its karma. Unresolved karma forms a chain, influencing me from the depths. Second, it's the Great Thousand Worlds as their master. If the Great Thousand Worlds aren't strong or perfect enough, it creates a bottleneck. Over 50 years, Lin Moyu simulated and found many reasons. The second reason was highly likely but difficult to resolve. As for whether it was the first reason, he would try to sever karma. If it worked, he would know. Severing karma didn't mean cutting off emotions or righteousness, it could be done in various ways. He had once spared the Question Dao sect, which left lingering issues. Many people died because of the Question Dao sect, and although their deaths weren't directly related to him, Lin Moyu felt some karma was involved. If he had destroyed the Question Dao sect back then, those people might not have died. Of course, the karma Dao was unpredictable, perhaps they would have died for other reasons, but it wouldn't have been connected to him. This time, to verify if his bottleneck was related to karma, Lin Moyu decided to try something. His method was simple: completely eradicate the Question Dao sect and sever karma. If severing karma eased his bottleneck, it would prove his speculation was correct. If not, he would try other methods. Lin Moyu arrived at the border between the Coldwater Holy Land and the Question Dao sect, where the land had been ravaged by continuous battles. The origin spiritual veins of both sides clashed, destroying the terrain, turning it into a desolate wasteland. Nearby cities were in ruins, and even the local spirit beasts had died out. Lin Moyu felt the countless vengeful spirits calling out, as many people had died here. Cultivators who came here would feel oppressed and uncomfortable. The Time Dao's power resonated, and Lin Moyu pointed a finger: time reversal. The Time Dao cast a shadow, replaying past events. During the war, the Question Dao sect had disregarded ordinary people, watching them die. Afterward, the Question Dao sect's disciples used artifacts to absorb the souls, intending to use these soul-filled artifacts for a malicious secret ritual. Lin Moyu knew the Question Dao sect's legacy came from the external Great Dao, and naturally, those from the external Great Dao wouldn't care about ordinary people on the origin continent. It was normal for them to do such things. I take responsibility for the karma that has led to the deaths of countless people. I will kill to sever karma, without questioning right or wrong. Lin Moyu declared to the heavens, using his identity to inform the Great Dao that he was going to kill. Lin Moyu transformed into a streak of light, rushing towards the Question Dao sect. ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up, go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3686, 3686. Chapter 3686, He Won't Live Long. At the Coldwater Holy Land's frontline base, all the strong members were gathered. Jiyu Hanjing sat at the forefront, with Jiyu Hanyu, the ancestor of the Coldwater Holy Land, beside her. Although Jiyu Hanyu held the highest position and was the strongest, he still yielded the first seat to Jiyu Hanjing. The reason was simple: Jiyu Hanjing was Lin Moyu's aunt. Just because of this, no one dared to take her seat. Even if she were just an ordinary person, everyone would respectfully let her sit on the master's throne. Jiyu Hanjing said, "Recently, a 6th-tier soul can enter the origin continent. The Question Dao sect's strongest ancestor has arrived." The faces of the Coldwater Holy Land members turned serious. The Question Dao sect's ancestor had descended with a 6th-tier soul cultivation, putting immense pressure on them. This was a tricky problem, as Jiyu Hanyu was only a 7th-tier soul, and even at the high stage, he was still inferior to a 6th-tier soul. The balance of power between the two sides was disrupted, making the Coldwater Holy Land's situation difficult. Jiyu Hanyu said, "I can form an alliance with Old Tree to handle the Question Dao sect's Dao Lord, but apart from him, the Question Dao sect has another Dao Lord." Jiyu Hanjing added, "That Dao Lord, Chu Exa, is an 8th-tier soul. Although our ancestors, Kang and Bing, are 9th-tier souls, they can exert their full strength on the origin continent, but Chu Exa cannot. So, we can still handle him. The problem is that we've entangled the Question Dao sect's Great Dao realms, and our 9th-tier Dao Venerable isn't enough. According to intelligence, the Question Dao sect is preparing a secret ritual that uses 1,000,000 dead souls as a catalyst. Once successful, it will pose a threat to us. We want to stop them, but the Question Dao sect has a 6th-tier soul ancestor holding down the fort, and our actions have ended in failure. So, I plan to launch a full-force attack on the Question Dao sect before they complete the ritual, even if it means paying some costs." Jiyu Hanyu said, "I know about the Question Dao sect's ritual, called the Wanling Sacrificial Soul. It's an ancient curse technique, truly sinister and powerful. Once cursed, the consequences range from a significant drop in cultivation to the destruction of the soul. This technique isn't targeted at individuals, its scope is vast enough to cover a large area of our holy land, even affecting the origin spiritual veins. I agree with Gu Hanjing's approach. Even if it means paying some costs, we must stop them. Gu Hanjing continued. If we fail to stop them, I'll go find my brother-in-law. She didn't want to bother Lin Moyu unless absolutely necessary. If it really didn't work out, she would have to muster the courage to ask for his help. After all, he was her brother-in-law. Just then, a voice came. Brother Gu Hanyu, the Question Dao sect's secret ritual has started. Everyone was shocked and immediately flew out to observe from afar. 10,000 miles away, a black cloud rose, filled with the cries of countless vengeful spirits. The wails grew louder, and even these cultivators felt a deep sense of unease. The Question Dao sect was using 1,000,000 souls to perform a powerful secret ritual, aiming to turn the Coldwater Holy Land into a land of ghosts. Gu Hanjing's expression turned serious. It seems they completed it so quickly. Did our information go wrong? Gu Hanyu said. Perhaps they feared delays would lead to changes, so they launched it early. The power isn't as strong as it would be at its peak, but it's still sufficient. If this ritual explodes within our Holy Land's range, all living beings within 100 million miles will be affected. But now it's too late to stop it. It seems we can only do our best and leave the rest to fate. The Question Dao sect's strong members stood before the black cloud, ready to block anyone who approached. At this moment, Gu Hanjing thought for a moment. Ancestor, please lead some of the elders to block them. I'll go find my brother-in-law. Just as she finished speaking, Old Tree's voice floated in. No need to go. Lin Moyu is already here. Lin Moyu appeared in the sky, his clear voice echoing across the heavens. The Question Dao sect, using 1,000,000 lives as sacrifices, has lost all humanity. Today, I, Lin Moyu, will use the mandate of heaven to settle the karma between the Question Dao sect and the heavens. After today, the Question Dao sect will cease to exist. He waved his hand, and the world-burning fire exploded, transforming into a sea of flames that descended upon the land. The world-burning fire officially displayed its power on the origin continent, illuminating the southern continent. In an instant, the Question Dao sect disciples screamed incessantly. Some weaker Dao venerables had their souls extinguished, their bodies turning to ash in the fire. The stronger ones used artifacts to resist, but they couldn't last long. The two great Dao realms in the Question Dao sect fought against the world-burning fire, but their efforts were minimal. They couldn't save anyone, not even themselves. The black cloud formed by the Wanling sacrificial soul ritual quickly withered in the flames. Lin Moyu's arrival was like a heavenly decree, unleashing the world-burning fire mercilessly, giving the Question Dao sect no chance. He made it clear that he came to kill, not to reason. The flames reached the sky, drawing the attention of numerous external great Dao realms. Is that Lin Moyu? When did he go to the southern continent? He said he would destroy the Question Dao sect. This is an internal conflict on the origin continent, why should he care? He's relying on the mandate of heaven to do as he pleases. Does the great Dao really not intervene? Lin Moyu's authority is too great, he controls everything. Now, what level has he reached? He seems to have grown much stronger again. Some people used artifacts to check Lin Moyu's cultivation level. Lin Moyu moved his mind, and with a thought, several divine runes flew out, exploding in the air. Those who tried to observe Lin Moyu's cultivation had their artifacts shattered, revealing nothing. In the midst of the fire, the Question Dao sect's ancestor and Dao Lord charged out, roaring, Lin Moyu, I'll fight you to the death. Lin Moyu casually threw a punch, unleashing a powerful force that shook the void. Countless fists rained down on the Dao Lord like a storm. The Dao Lord's body exploded on the spot, his soul screaming as it was blown into the fire. Lin Moyu's punch killed the 6th-tier soul Dao Lord, demonstrating that he had the power to kill any external great Dao realm on the origin continent. This punch was also a warning to everyone, behave, or face death. The onlookers shared the same thought. Lin Moyu never used words to reason, he spoke with strength, killing those who were dissatisfied. This approach made many people uncomfortable. Now he's being so domineering with the mandate of heaven, but once it ends, he will surely die. That's right, several Dao Lords will take action. Even if he has several Dao Lords backing him, they can protect him for a while, but not forever. Heaven will make him crazy before his downfall, he won't live long. Lin Moyu ignored these voices and continued to speak. ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up. Go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3687, 3687. Chapter 3687, Don't Underestimate Me. On the origin continent, internal conflicts are allowed, but harming ordinary lives is not. Whoever violates this will face my merciless wrath. Lin Moyu's voice, imbued with the power of the Great Tao, spread across the entire origin continent through the authority granted by the mandate of heaven. Billions of living beings, humans, demons, sea creatures, dragons, insects, and spirit beasts heard his words without exception. Language barriers were irrelevant, as everyone heard the message in their native tongue. Lin Moyu used the heavenly speech, under which there was no such thing as not understanding. At that moment, thunderstorms swept across the origin continent, with lightning striking everywhere. The Great Tao used its own method to inform everyone that Lin Moyu's words were true. Ordinary lives were often seen as insignificant by some strong cultivators. Killing millions wouldn't even raise an eyebrow. However, Lin Moyu understood that ordinary lives were the true foundation of the origin continent. The Question Tao sect's actions had already led to a severe decline in their fortune, and Lin Moyu's appearance was essentially a heavenly punishment. Therefore, destroying the Question Tao sect wouldn't incur punishment from the heavens. However, many self-proclaimed strong cultivators didn't understand this. The world-burning fire continued to rage, and the Question Tao sect's strong members had all been killed. The countless vengeful spirits in the black cloud were also being refined. By now, nearly 9 out of 10 of the Question Tao sect's strong members had died. Lin Moyu extinguished the world-burning fire and flew towards the Question Tao sect's mountain gate. This was just a branch. Many more disciples remained at the main gate. Those disciples might not have participated in the war or stained their hands with blood. But this didn't matter, they would still die. They had made the choice to join the Question Tao sect, and everyone must take responsibility for their choices. If they were innocent, then the millions of ordinary people who died were even more so. The Question Tao sect was finished, and everyone knew Lin Moyu wouldn't spare anyone. Lin Moyu revealed his ruthlessness to all, showing them what true dominance meant. Upon arriving at the Question Tao sect, he released over 100 divine runes, weaving them into a simple confinement formation. The sea skeleton god general then charged in, killing everyone. The protective formation collapsed, the mountains crumbled, and the sect was overturned. Blood flowed like rivers within the Question Tao sect, and nothing remained. A fire ignited, not ordinary flames but those imbued with the Great Tao's power. The fire burned with blood as its base and souls as its fuel, consuming the entire Question Tao sect and erasing its legacy. After hundreds of years, only historical records would remain of the Question Tao sect. Lin Moyu completed his task and slowly disappeared, as if he had never appeared. His actions and words left an indelible mark. The warring forces became more cautious, ensuring that ordinary lives were evacuated before engaging in battles. If evacuation was impossible, they would take their battles to the skies, changing the battlefield. Many ordinary people set up altars in their homes to honor Lin Moyu, viewing him as a benefactor. The entire origin continent underwent a rapid transformation. In the external Great Tao realms, various Great Tao cultivators looked at each other in surprise. Only after reflecting did they understand what Lin Moyu had done. Good grief, Lin Moyu's thoughts are deeper than we imagined. Yes, I only realized now that he wasn't acting impulsively but was taking advantage of the situation. The Question Tao sect lost its people and fortune, and Lin Moyu used the Great Tao's momentum to eliminate them. By announcing this to the world, all ordinary people will remember Lin Moyu and thank him. The power of faith. Although they are just ordinary people, their numbers are overwhelming. Lin Moyu will gain immense faith power from this. Could it be that his rapid cultivation is also related to the power of faith? These Great Tao cultivators speculated about Lin Moyu's intentions, with various theories emerging. In their eyes, Lin Moyu became a cunning and unpredictable figure. His terror wasn't just in his ruthlessness but also in his strategic thinking. This made them even more convinced that they should avoid conflicts with Lin Moyu before his mandate of heaven ended, as there would be no benefits. After handling the Question Tao sect, Lin Moyu returned to the central continent and left a message for Antares before returning to the Void Realm. The power of faith. Don't underestimate me. Lin Moyu couldn't help but smile when he heard the Great Tao cultivators' words. He had indeed acted in accordance with circumstances, but it wasn't for the power of faith. He was driven by karma and the mandate of heaven. The mandate of heaven tasked him with guarding the central continent and the origin continent. Ordinary lives were the foundation of the origin continent, and since the Question Tao sect had harmed this foundation, they naturally faced punishment. He also took the opportunity to sever karma with the Question Tao sect, testing whether it would ease his bottleneck. Unfortunately, the change in karma didn't alleviate his bottleneck. Lin Moyu realized that his obstruction was indeed a karma issue. The remaining problem was his great thousand worlds. Being the master of the world was a double-edged sword. While it allowed him to lead the world's development and utilize its power, the world could also become a hindrance to his progress. If the world wasn't strong enough, his own advancement would be limited. This was his current situation. The great thousand worlds had led him into a bottleneck, making it difficult to progress. Understanding the problem, Lin Moyu couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. In the past, it was because my realm wasn't high enough that my techniques couldn't be refined. This time, it's reversed because the great thousand worlds aren't strong enough, I can't advance my realm. Knowing the problem, he needed to find a solution. The only way was to strengthen the great thousand worlds, but this wasn't something that could be done easily. There were 3 methods to make the great thousand worlds stronger. First, with time, the great thousand worlds would naturally evolve and grow stronger. If he could guide this process, he could accelerate the evolution, but even then, the speed would be measured in millions or tens of millions of years. The second method was to refine other worlds, using their world crystals to strengthen the great thousand worlds. However, refining other worlds wasn't easy. He would need to find a world in its core, and then use the world-burning fire for refinement. If the world was too powerful, not only would he fail to refine it, but he would also face danger. Even if the world was weak, it would contain billions of lives. Without any grudges, Lin Moyu couldn't bring himself to kill them. It wasn't that he was soft-hearted, it was just that doing so would incur endless karma, potentially leading to future misfortunes. Ideally, he would find a world without life or one that had already died but hadn't fully collapsed. Such worlds were extremely rare. This left only the third method. ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up. Go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3688. 3688. Chapter 3688. Lin Moyu learned a lesson. Lin Moyu's soul flew through the void realm, and as his realm improved, his connection to his soul world grew stronger. Now, in the Golden Furnace Great Soul Domain, he could clearly sense his soul world from any corner, even transmitting some information. He flew towards an unknown direction, pondering the previous issues. In over 100 years, using the Seeking Realm symbol, I've found 60 worlds and clashed with 8 Tao Lords. None of these worlds met my requirements. Lin Moyu realized that the worlds he sought were too rare, so he had to consider the third method. Apart from natural evolution and absorbing world crystals, he had another way to evolve his great thousand worlds, so by evolving enough great Taos within it. Great Taos were the inevitable result of a world's growth and evolution, determining all the rules in the world. Normally, the stronger a world was, the stronger its great Taos would be. Conversely, stronger great Taos could also nourish a world, making it more robust. When unable to absorb enough world crystals, enhancing the great Taos within the world was another viable option. Lin Moyu already had a method to do this. In his great thousand worlds, there were many illusory bodies carrying the great Tao insights he had gained from the origin ancestral land. These insights were brought into the great thousand worlds to accelerate the evolution of the great Taos. Additionally, there were some liches that also carried great Taos, helping the great thousand worlds evolve more great Taos. Compared to the illusory bodies, the liches carried more pure and powerful great Taos. Previously, Lin Moyu was satisfied with his approach, but now he realized it was far from enough. Lin Moyu concluded his shortcomings. The number of great Taos is insufficient. There are too few great Taos, whether they are from the origin continent or branch great Taos. The great Taos in the great thousand worlds are not strong enough. I need to find a way to enhance them. Relying solely on my own insights won't work. The fastest method should be to use elemental liches. Having clarified his thoughts, Lin Moyu knew what he needed to do next. He would utilize the properties of elemental liches to strengthen his great Taos. Before that, he had to find suitable materials to summon elements. The materials couldn't be of a low level, they had to be at least at the Great Tao realm, or the carried Great Taos would be insufficient and evolution would remain slow. Moreover, after using elemental liches to evolve Great Taos, he would have to give up those liches. The number of elemental liches was limited even now. As a third-tier soul Great Tao realm cultivator, he could only possess 30 at a time. The external Great Tao realms on the origin continent must have suitable Great Tao realm materials, but he couldn't access them yet. So, Lin Moyu turned his attention to the Void Realm and other worlds. The Void Realm also had Great Tao realm materials, though they were scarce. He needed to find a way to enter other worlds and locate suitable materials without invading or engaging in a Great Tao contest. He wanted to find a suitable method. As Lin Moyu's mind moved slightly, some elemental liches in the Great Thousand Worlds dispersed. Their powers transformed into Great Taos within the Great Thousand Worlds, and the positions of the elemental liches were vacated. The elemental liches that had helped him greatly were now abandoned, and Lin Moyu felt a pang of reluctance. However, he had no choice, sometimes sacrifices were necessary for further progress. Over 100 years, Lin Moyu had found many worlds, some strong and some weak. In the stronger worlds, there were Tao Lords, and he had clashed with several of them. Since it wasn't a Great Tao contest, they hadn't fought to the death. However, none of these Tao Lords were easy to talk to, and it was impossible to form friendships. Those Tao Lords knew that they came from different worlds, and at their level, a final battle was inevitable. Such friendships were pointless. Lin Moyu quickly found another world, one he had visited 4 years ago. Back then, he encountered a Tao Lord who wasn't human but a lion-like humanoid from a special species. In the Void Realm, there were countless worlds, and while humans dominated most of them, other species were also numerous. Lin Moyu wasn't surprised by this. This time, he returned and met the lion-like Tao Lord again. Lin Moyu waved his hand to dispel the chaotic mist, gazing at the Tao Lord from 10,000 meters away. Since they weren't enemies, and the origin continent's Great Tao power couldn't reach here, they could communicate through their souls. "You're back," the lion-like Tao Lord's voice echoed in Lin Moyu's ear. Lin Moyu spoke calmly. "Lin Moyu greets you, Tao friend. May I ask how you are addressed?" His tone was neither humble nor arrogant, calm as water, because he didn't know the Tao Lord's temperament or the customs of that world. In some worlds, smiling could be seen as a challenge, while being fierce might be a sign of friendship. Without knowing the customs, it was better to show no expression. The lion-like Tao Lord sized up Lin Moyu. "You and I come from different worlds. One day, we will have a battle. Why bother knowing each other's names?" Lin Moyu replied. "Fate is unpredictable, who knows if we'll be friends or enemies in the future. Even if we become enemies, it doesn't hinder our friendship now." After a moment of contemplation, he continued, "I am Jin Shi, the Golden Lion." The conversation finally made progress, and with this beginning, the rest would be easier to discuss. Lin Moyu asked, "Golden Lion Tao friend, may I ask why you guard the outside of your world?" "I have no hostile intentions towards your world, I'm just curious." Along his journey, Lin Moyu had encountered several worlds where Tao Lords guarded the outside. He didn't understand why they did this, as any invasion from the Void Realm would naturally alert all Tao Lords in the world. Moreover, such invasions from the Void Realm weren't the greatest threats, true invasions came from the real world. However, several Tao Lords did the same thing, so there must be a reason. Lin Moyu asked this question both to understand the reason and to build rapport for his future plans. The Golden Lion Tao Lord looked at Lin Moyu. "You don't know? Doesn't your world have Tao Lords guarding it?" Lin Moyu shook his head. "No, please enlighten me." The Golden Lion Tao Lord observed Lin Moyu. "You're only a third-tier soul, not knowing is normal. It seems your world isn't strong enough yet." Lin Moyu remained silent, implicitly acknowledging this. The origin continent was strong enough, with many Tao Lords, but the Golden Lion Tao Lord's words didn't require him to show weakness. Sometimes, admitting weakness could lead to greater benefits and make the Golden Lion Tao Lord less cautious. The Golden Lion Tao Lord explained, "Great Tao contests often mark the beginning of world conflicts. Tao Lords guard the outside of their worlds to prepare. If a strong enemy comes, we can take our world away to avoid disaster. This world is strong enough, but there must be even stronger worlds. It's a serious matter that requires caution." Listening to the Golden Lion Tao Lord's explanation, Lin Moyu understood. He bowed towards the Golden Lion Tao Lord. "Thank you, Tao friend, for your guidance. I have learned a lesson. ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up. Go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3689, 3689. Chapter 3689, Transaction. The Golden Lion Tao Lord was cautious, revealing the strength of his world through his words. He also told Lin Moyu that if there were dangers, they could move their entire world to safety. This way, some people wouldn't be able to locate their real world by tracking its position in the Void Realm. This made Lin Moyu think of the Origin Continent. In the past, when the Origin Continent was extremely powerful, perhaps it was too confident and didn't need Tao Lords to guard it. It might have even welcomed attacks from other worlds, planning to counterattack. If that were true, such extreme confidence would have dealt a severe blow to the Origin Continent, taking thousands of years to recover. The fact that it survived until now was already a testament to its good fortune. Perhaps seeing Lin Moyu's third-tier soul cultivation and knowing he wasn't there for a great Tao contest, the Golden Lion Tao Lord was willing to converse with him. However, even so, he only slightly relaxed his guard. It was difficult for beings from different worlds to truly trust each other. Not immediately attacking each other was already a good start. After chatting for a while, 10,000 meters apart, the Golden Lion Tao Lord gradually relaxed his vigilance. Lin Moyu said, "I'll be honest, I came specifically to find you, Tao friend." The Golden Lion Tao Lord's eyes narrowed slightly. "I know you must have a purpose." "Speak." Lin Moyu explained. "Due to certain reasons, I can't obtain Great Tao Realm materials, but I need them for my cultivation." The Golden Lion Tao Lord scrutinized Lin Moyu with a skeptical gaze. "Great Tao Realm materials? Will any Great Tao Realm materials do?" Lin Moyu shook his head. "Of course not. Considering my realm, I have some requirements. At least the materials should match my level. As for the properties of the materials, I'm not particular. However, the rarer the materials, the higher the price I can offer." The Golden Lion Tao Lord spoke in a low voice. "You and I come from different worlds, and our Great Tao rules differ. Our materials might not be usable for you, and what you offer might not be needed by us." Lin Moyu looked at the Golden Lion Tao Lord. "If I'm not mistaken, your soul has been injured and hasn't healed, right?" The Golden Lion Tao Lord's gaze turned sharp, exuding a dangerous aura. His soul had indeed been injured and hadn't healed, but he had hidden it well. Even other Tao Lords wouldn't be able to see through it, so how did Lin Moyu discover this? Lin Moyu said, "Don't misunderstand, I have a special ability to see if a soul is damaged. Your soul is injured, though you've hidden it well. It's still visible to me. In the vast worlds, there are countless unique abilities. You shouldn't be surprised that I have this ability, and I mean no harm." As he spoke, Lin Moyu tossed a spiritual flower across 10,000 meters to the Golden Lion Tao Lord. "This flower can heal your soul's injury. If you don't believe me, you can test it on someone else who has a similar injury." The Golden Lion Tao Lord was filled with doubt, but the prospect of healing his soul's injury was highly appealing. Lin Moyu's expression remained calm. He knew the Golden Lion Tao Lord would definitely try it. The Golden Lion Tao Lord's soul injury wasn't simple. It came from the Black Blood Realm. Having dealt with the Black Blood Realm multiple times, Lin Moyu could recognize it at a glance. If it were an ordinary soul injury, the Golden Lion Tao Lord would have recovered by now. This also meant that the Golden Lion Tao Lord's world had clashed with the Black Blood Realm, and more than just him were injured. The Golden Lion Tao Lord created a clone, sending it into his world with the spiritual flower. He himself remained guarding the entrance. Lin Moyu sat cross-legged in the void, patiently waiting. Half a day later, a fierce soul flame appeared behind the Golden Lion Tao Lord, and another Tao Lord flew out from his world, covering millions of miles to reach the Golden Lion Tao Lord's side. This Tao Lord was also lion-like, with a similar appearance to the Golden Lion, but his body was silver. He asked immediately, "Where did this flower come from?" The Golden Lion Tao Lord glanced at Lin Moyu 10,000 meters away. "It was given by Lin Tao friend." The Silver Tao Lord turned to Lin Moyu. "Lin Tao friend, do you have more of these flowers?" From his tone and expression, he seemed more enthusiastic than the Golden Lion. He slowly opened his eyes. "I do." The Golden Lion Tao Lord suddenly growled, "A yin, be quiet." The Tao Lord called a yin obeyed immediately, closing his mouth. The Golden Lion Tao Lord asked, "A yin, who used the flower?" A yin replied, "A Z used it, and his injury has healed." The Golden Lion Dao Lord whispered, "Are you certain?" A yin nodded. "Of course, he's already recovered. He should be here soon." The Golden Lion Dao Lord's gaze became complex, clearly realizing that Lin Moyu hadn't deceived him. Indeed, shortly after, several more Dao Lords arrived. Each of them was lion-like, with different body colors. Their names were based on their colors: gold, silver, purple, black, yellow, and green. The 5 lion-like Dao Lords stood together. Lin Moyu thought to himself, "This world is quite interesting." Among the 5 Dao Lords, all had soul injuries except for Azi. His injury had healed, and Lin Moyu could still sense the aura of the spiritual flower on him. After a discussion, the Golden Lion Dao Lord spoke up. "Lin Dao friend, how many more of these flowers do you have?" Lin Moyu replied, "I have a few more, but not many. I'd like to exchange them for some materials." The Golden Lion Dao Lord nodded and relayed Lin Moyu's request to the others. Immediately, 2 of them produced several materials. Materials that could be brought into the Void Realm were never of a low level and usually possessed virtual properties. Purely virtual materials were extremely rare. Most were a mix of virtual and real properties, which was the case with the materials they offered. The Golden Lion Dao Lord waved his hand, and several materials flew towards Lin Moyu. These Dao stones come from various great Daos and have different properties. All are above the 3rd tier level. Do you find them acceptable, Lin Dao friend? Lin Moyu examined the Dao stones, which came from different great Daos and had various properties. After observing them for a while, he said, "May I try one?" The Golden Lion Dao Lord nodded, "You may." Since Lin Moyu had already received a spiritual flower, his request to try one wasn't excessive. Lin Moyu picked up a red Dao stone, which possessed fire attributes from the Fire Great Dao. It was at the 3rd tier soul level, making it an extremely fine material. Although the Great Dao rules differed slightly from world to world, their fundamentals remained the same, all originating from the origin ancestral land. Lin Moyu summoned an elemental lich, and gray flames rose from his palm. The Dao stone slowly transformed and melted in the flames, eventually giving birth to an elemental lich covered in flames before everyone's eyes. ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up. Go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3690, 3690. Chapter 3690, The Black Blood Realm's Whereabouts. The red Dao stone transformed into an elemental lich, named the Great Dao Fire Spirit. It was enveloped in flames, only fist-sized, and looked somewhat adorable. Great Dao Fire Spirit. Realm: 3rd tier Great Dao. Rank: perfect. Lin Moyu's face showed a hint of a smile. What mattered wasn't the strength of the elements or the lich but the great Dao power it contained. This could complement his great thousand worlds, making the great Daos within it more complete and powerful. In this moment, Lin Moyu gained a deeper understanding of his techniques. The elemental lich technique was particularly special among his summoning arts. Other summoning techniques had a common trait: enormous numbers. In contrast, he could only summon 30 elemental liches. Compared to the skeleton god general's billions, 30 was a tiny number. Therefore, elemental liches couldn't rely on quantity, they had to rely on quality or other aspects. Lin Moyu once thought that if he could obtain top-tier Great Dao Realm materials early on and summon a first-tier Great Dao Realm elemental lich, he might dominate the Great Dao Realm. However, he later realized that obtaining such materials was even harder than finding first-tier Soul Great Dao Realm materials. Even if he summoned a first-tier Great Dao Realm elemental lich, it wasn't guaranteed to truly protect him. The fallen Sword Star Lord's elemental lich, which wasn't even at the Great Dao Realm, was already weak. Now, Lin Moyu understood that elemental liches, apart from being combat tools with magical abilities, had an irreplaceable ability to carry and complete Great Daos. Their limited number was due to this ability being too extraordinary, requiring balance in other aspects. The Great Dao of Heaven and Earth emphasizes balance. While there can be extraordinary things, there won't be anything extremely unbalanced. Lin Moyu looked at the Golden Lion Dao Lord. These materials can be exchanged. His words brought joy to the Golden Lion Dao Lord and the others. For these Dao Lords, materials were nothing compared to healing their soul injuries. As long as their injuries could be healed, external possessions were insignificant. The Golden Lion Dao Lord asked calmly, "How do we exchange them?" Since a trade was possible, the next step was to negotiate prices. They wouldn't think that lacking materials would be exchanged for just one flower. Lin Moyu said, for third-tier soul Great Tao materials like this, 100 pieces can be exchanged for one flower. For second-tier soul materials, 10 pieces for one flower, and for first-tier soul materials, 1 for 1. Lin Moyu offered a fairly reasonable price. Although these top-tier Great Tao realm materials were rare, their scarcity couldn't compare to that of the spiritual flowers. If these Tao lords had a way to heal their injuries, they wouldn't have waited until now. Even Lin Moyu could offer an exorbitant price, but he didn't. The Golden Lion Tao Lord was visibly surprised. He had expected Lin Moyu to demand a high price, planning to haggle. Noticing Lin Moyu's reasonable offer, he felt somewhat embarrassed not to haggle. Just as he was about to agree, Lin Moyu spoke again, I have another request based on this foundation. The Golden Lion Tao Lord replied politely, please speak. Lin Moyu said, I have specific requirements for the types of Great Tao materials. For the same material, I will only accept one piece. For example, for a third-tier Great Tao realm material like the one earlier, I will only accept up to 100 pieces. Since the flowers are limited, I must set this condition. Please understand. Now, Lin Moyu had the upper hand. It wasn't him seeking to exchange, but the others seeking him out. Everyone knew this, and Lin Moyu's lack of excessive demands was already generous. This small request was naturally acceptable. After discussing, the Golden Lion Tao Lord and the others made a decision. All right, we can agree to your request. Please wait while we gather the materials. Lin Moyu nodded. No rush, take your time. Except for the Golden Lion Tao Lord, the other Tao Lords immediately returned to their world to gather Great Tao materials. Seeming to feel that their injuries were about to heal, the Golden Lion Tao Lord's gaze softened slightly. Lin Moyu asked, if I'm not mistaken, your injury was caused by the Black Blood Realm, right? The Golden Lion Tao Lord's expression changed. You also know about the Black Blood Realm? Lin Moyu replied, the Black Blood Realm once invaded my world. The Golden Lion Tao Lord was visibly surprised, his eyes filled with thought as if recalling distant memories. After a while, he spoke again. At that time, they were migrating their world. It was as if they were passing by. They wanted to devour us, using our world as nourishment. We fought desperately to escape. In the vast Void Realm, the Black Blood Realm's migration coincidentally encountered the Golden Lion Tao Lord's world. This event, with odds less than 1 in a billion, showed that the Golden Lion Tao Lord's world was quite unlucky. Lin Moyu roughly understood the situation. It seemed that after the Black Blood Realm failed to invade the origin continent, they feared their own world would be invaded and decided to migrate. Lin Moyu asked, do you know where the Black Blood Realm went? The Golden Lion Tao Lord shook his head, I'm not very clear. They left in a hurry, seemingly fleeing. Judging from their route, they should be leaving the Golden Furnace Great Soul Domain. Leaving the Golden Furnace Great Soul Domain was a decisive move, fitting the Black Blood Realm's nature. Lin Moyu said, please don't trouble yourself to guide me. In the Void Realm, there was no concept of direction. Whether it was a large or small soul domain, they were all constantly moving and changing. The movement of small soul domains was determined by large ones, and the direction of large soul domains was decided by the 9 primordial origin virtual treasures. Each time these treasures resonated, the positions of the soul domains would change. It was possible that the Golden Furnace Great Soul Domain was once next to the Janmu Great Soul Domain, but after a resonance, it changed to another. However, Lin Moyu believed that the Golden Lion Tao Lord, as a Tao Lord, would have a way. The Golden Lion Tao Lord thought for a moment, I can try, but I'm not sure if it will work. Lin Moyu said, regardless of the outcome, I thank you in advance. The Golden Lion Tao Lord radiated a golden aura, a majestic pressure typical of a Tao Lord spreading into the void. His soul shone brightly, with a faint black light flashing within the injury left by the Black Blood Realm. He was using his injury to seek the Black Blood Realm's whereabouts. A great Tao faintly appeared, and Lin Moyu was surprised, the Causality Tao. He hadn't expected the Golden Lion Tao Lord to know the Causality Tao. However, upon reflection, it didn't feel right. If the Golden Lion Tao Lord truly understood the Causality Tao, his soul wouldn't have been injured, or he would have recovered by now. Lin Moyu observed carefully and reached a correct conclusion. It's not the Causality Tao, he's just using a secret technique to touch upon a hint of the Causality Tao. ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up. Go to email protected translate toki. Remove the at symbol and type A. Chapter 3691, 3691. Chapter 3691, His Own Path. The Golden Lion Tao Lord's secret technique formed a faint light that shot into the void and disappeared. Then, a crystal appeared in his hand, with countless facets pointing in numerous directions. The Golden Lion Tao Lord handed the crystal to Lin Moyu. This is the causality crystal. You can use it to find directions, but it can only be used 10 times. After that, it will self-destruct. Lin Moyu accepted the causality crystal and sincerely thanked the Golden Lion Tao Lord. I appreciate this, and I will remember your kindness. He didn't give the Golden Lion Tao Lord a spiritual flower, even though he could have. Doing so would have turned their interaction into a transaction, changing its nature. The Golden Lion Tao Lord asked, Lin Tao friend, are you seeking the Black Blood realm to cause them trouble? Lin Moyu nodded. Whether it's me personally or my world, we have a blood feud with the Black Blood realm. If there's an opportunity, we will certainly avenge it. The Golden Lion Tao Lord didn't dissuade him, only whispering, the Black Blood realm is treacherous. If they hadn't been forced to migrate back then, our world would have fallen. Suddenly, he realized, the Black Blood realm was defeated by a powerful world back then. Could that world be yours? Lin Moyu didn't deny it. It wasn't just the Black Blood realm that was repelled, there were also the Heavenly God realm and several weaker worlds. The Golden Lion Tao Lord said, my strength is limited, and I can't offer much help. I can only wish you success. The Black Blood realm was an enemy to them as well, but he was aware that his world wasn't a match for the Black Blood realm. Even a severely damaged Black Blood realm could destroy them, so they never thought of seeking revenge. Lin Moyu understood his thinking. It was a wise choice to prioritize self-preservation. As a Tao Lord, one had to consider the entire world, not just oneself. It was now certain that the Black Blood realm had left the Golden Furnace Great Soul domain. With the causality crystal, Lin Moyu had a chance to find it. However, it wasn't the right time yet. With his current strength, going after the Black Blood realm would be suicidal. About a day later, several Tao Lords, including a Yin and Az, returned. They brought back a large amount of materials, all above the 3rd-tier Great Tao realm. Each of them had collected materials independently, resulting in some duplication. The Tao Lords categorized and counted the materials based on their properties and quality. In the end, they had 481 pieces of 3rd-tier Soul Great Tao materials and 59 pieces of 2nd-tier Soul Great Tao materials. Lin Moyu gave them 14 spiritual flowers, enough to heal their injuries. To verify the flowers' effect, a Yin activated one and was immediately healed. Their injuries were almost fully recovered, and the flowers easily handled the remaining damage. Lin Moyu asked, are you satisfied, Tao friends? The Golden Lion Tao Lord replied, thank you, Lin Tao friend. We are very satisfied with the exchange. Lin Moyu smiled, that's good. I'll take my leave now. We'll meet again if fate allows it. The Golden Lion Tao Lord didn't detain him. Lin Tao friend, farewell. If you need anything, come back to find us. Lin Moyu joked, if I run out of materials, I'll come back with a thick face. But by then, I don't know if you'll still need flowers. The Golden Lion Tao Lord laughed. No worries, if we're friends, we don't necessarily need to exchange things. Lin Moyu could sense that the Tao Lords in this world were kind and had peaceful mindsets, not fond of conflict. However, as Tao Lords, they had to fight for their world. After Lin Moyu left, he returned to his soul world. This time, his gains were substantial. He transformed all the Great Tao materials into elemental liches, which then merged into the Great Thousand Worlds, enhancing its Great Taos and driving its evolution. As the Great Thousand Worlds grew stronger, Lin Moyu's restricted cultivation level might be broken through. This was the result Lin Moyu had deduced, though it was still uncertain. Returning to his soul world, Lin Moyu immediately entered the Great Thousand Worlds. It seemed to sense his return, as the entire Great Thousand Worlds radiated joy. To Lin Moyu, the Great Thousand Worlds was like a newborn child waiting to be nurtured. He began summoning elemental liches using the materials he had obtained. One by one, elemental liches with diverse properties were summoned and immediately merged into the Great Thousand Worlds, becoming its Great Taos. Previously, he had used illusory bodies to carry his insights into the Great Thousand Worlds, laying the foundation for its Great Taos. However, his personal insights were limited and superficial. Even with the illumination of the yin-yang origin, it would take a long time to accumulate more. From that moment on, his cultivation limit was tied to the Great Thousand Worlds. This was his own path. Lin Moyu couldn't wait that long and had to find another way. Using elemental liches to complete the Great Daos was the method he thought of. The elemental liches drove the evolution of the Great Daos, and the Great Thousand Worlds rumbled continuously. Lin Moyu could feel the Great Thousand Worlds growing stronger, and his stagnant cultivation showed a slight improvement. Indeed, it's effective. Lin Moyu was delighted, realizing that his plan was correct. As long as the Great Thousand Worlds grew stronger, he could continue to break through. One by one, the elemental liches strengthened existing Great Daos in the Great Thousand Worlds and added new ones that didn't originally exist. Thus, the Great Daos in the Great Thousand Worlds rapidly grew stronger and more numerous. The strength of a world largely depends on the intensity and number of its Great Daos. The more powerful and numerous they are, the stronger the world becomes, allowing it to accommodate more. Different worlds and Dao Lords varied greatly in strength. Just a day later, all the Great Dao materials obtained were transformed into elemental liches and merged into the Great Thousand Worlds. Lin Moyu's aura surged, and his soul world radiated brilliant light, visible through the gaps in the world tree. The bottleneck was shattered, and Lin Moyu finally advanced from the third-tier soul to the early second-tier soul. At this time, the Great Daos in the Great Thousand Worlds permeated everything, influencing all the Middle Thousand Worlds and Small Thousand Worlds. Under the influence of these powerful Great Daos, the Middle Thousand Worlds grew stronger, and the evolution of the Small Thousand Worlds accelerated. My path shouldn't be wrong. I won't rely on Great Daos or become a Dao Lord. I'll walk my own path. When my Great Thousand Worlds are complete, its Great Daos will be my Great Daos. I won't be a Dao Lord. I will be the life of the world. Lin Moyu's heart was filled with ambition. He flew back into the Void Realm, with the Seeking Realm symbol leading the way, searching for the next world neighbor. His eyes had become incredibly determined, and his Dao heart was unshakable. Perhaps this was a path no one had ever taken, but this time, he was determined to see it through. Asterisk 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 asterisk. I'd like to update all the Dao names. What would you all prefer they be called? I'm getting tired of constantly renaming them. For example, we have the Undying, Immortality, and Undead Dao. Karma, Causality, and Cause and Effect Dao. Asterisk 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 asterisk. ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up. Go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3692, 3692. Chapter 3692, Reencountering Shen Chen. The Seeking Realm symbol flew through the Void Realm, searching for the next world. In his small soul domain, Lin Moyu had many real worlds, but he wasn't familiar with each one's situation. He could only find them one by one. For him, the first time he directly approached the Golden Lion Dao Lord's world was mainly because they had injured souls, and he could use the spiritual flowers as leverage. As for what the next world would be like or whether they would be as easy to talk to, it was hard to say. Previously, Lin Moyu hadn't had any needs, so even when he clashed with other Dao Lords, he only fought briefly and didn't go all out. Now, things were different. He had confirmed that his path was correct, so the nature of his actions changed. If the other party couldn't communicate properly, he would have to use force. Anyone who blocks my way is an enemy. Just like the great Dao contests between Dao Lords, where they fought to the death without personal grudges, all for the sake of their great Daos. This was the causality of the great Daos, an inescapable fate from the moment one embarked on the cultivation path. Even if Lin Moyu didn't want to become a Dao Lord, he couldn't escape this causality. His great thousand worlds needed to grow quickly, requiring the power of other worlds. No world's great Daos were complete. Even the powerful origin continent had many incomplete great Daos. Lin Moyu wanted to achieve something extremely difficult but had no choice. A day later, guided by the Seeking Realm symbol, Lin Moyu found another world. Before he could approach, massive forces dispersed the chaotic mist, causing the virtual beasts within to flee in panic, fearing they would be killed if they were slow. Someone is fighting. Lin Moyu's heart stirred, and he quickly followed the commotion. His gaze focused, and he saw a familiar figure. It's him. He actually found this place. Shen Chen cultivated the heavy water Great Tao and had reached the high stage of the first-tier soul, making him one of the top figures in the origin continent. He was strong enough to rival some branch Tao lords. Previously, Lin Moyu had helped Shen Chen find the heavy water Great Tao, and Shen Chen had been searching for other worlds along this path. This process was difficult and long. Lin Moyu hadn't seen Shen Chen again after that, and with the Void Realm experiencing tidal storms, he thought Shen Chen had fallen during those events. Unexpectedly, they met again here. When Lin Moyu saw Shen Chen's opponent, his eyes turned sharp. Shen Chen's adversary was a Tao Lord with the lower body of a long snake and an upper body resembling a large, flat lizard. It was a member of the Lizard God tribe from the Lizard God realm. They were once subordinates of the Heavenly God realm and one of the worlds that invaded the origin continent. Lin Moyu flew over, his eyes filled with killing intent, but he didn't intervene. This was Shen Chen's Great Tao contest, and he shouldn't interfere. Both sides were cultivating the heavy water Great Tao, transforming it into countless arrow-like water droplets that flew through the void. The Great Taos were the same, and their methods were similar. Each water arrow was as heavy as 1,000 kilograms, capable of crushing mountains. In the void, billions of these water arrows clashed, with neither side yielding. Lin Moyu observed that their strengths were evenly matched, making it difficult to determine the winner. His gaze swept past them to a nearby world barrier, which belonged to the Lizard God realm. Why didn't I notice this was the Lizard God realm when I passed by before? He hadn't entered the world then because he didn't need to. He just glanced and left. He had seen many living beings and strong cultivators in that world. Now that he knew it was the Lizard God realm, there was no need for courtesy. He wouldn't need to negotiate material exchanges. He could simply enter and take what he wanted, just as they had done to the origin continent in the past. Even though Lin Moyu wanted to transcend the origin continent and become the master of his own world, he never denied being a member of the human race from the origin continent. Some causalities were his to bear. Lin Moyu waited for Shen Chen and his opponent to determine the outcome. In his view, their strengths were similar, but Shen Chen wasn't a Tao Lord, and this was the opponent's home turf, putting Shen Chen at a slight disadvantage. Halfway through the fight, Shen Chen suddenly deployed a treasure. The treasure transformed into a pool of heavy water, and Shen Chen entered it. His aura surged, and his power rapidly increased. Although not a Tao Lord, he temporarily possessed the might of one. Lin Moyu's heart stirred. Shen Chen cultivated the heavy water Great Tao, and this pool of water was the essence of the heavy water Great Tao from the origin continent. Shen Chen had managed to use the heavy water Great Tao, allowing him to become a Tao Lord-like existence temporarily. After deploying the heavy water Great Tao, Shen Chen gained the upper hand and began to overpower his opponent. The Lizard God tribe's Tao Lord retreated step by step, letting out a deafening roar. The Lizard God tribe's cry was unpleasant, not sharp but a nauseating feeling that reached the soul. Even Lin Moyu, as a bystander, was slightly affected, while Shen Chen stumbled back 3 steps. After the roar, the Lizard God tribe's Tao Lord's aura plummeted, and he turned to flee back into the Lizard God realm. Shen Chen didn't pursue. He simply sighed and recalled the heavy water Great Tao. Lin Moyu flew over to greet him. "Shen Tao friend, we meet again." Shen Chen saw Lin Moyu and couldn't help but smile. It's Lin Tao friend, what a coincidence. In the vast void realm, their encounter was both coincidental and fateful. Lin Moyu asked, "Have you been in the void realm since we last parted?" Shen Chen nodded. "Yes, I've been here. After you helped me find the heavy water Great Tao, I followed it and found another world. I didn't expect that world to be extremely strong, with a Tao Lord equally powerful. I wasn't a match and had to retreat." Lin Moyu said, "You managed to save your life, which is already a testament to your strength. How did you survive the tidal storms?" Shen Chen smiled wryly. "Don't even mention it. During the tidal storms, I was being pursued. It's funny, after my first defeat, I not only escaped but quickly found another world. I was extremely lucky to find a new world in such a short time. I thought I could become the Tao Lord of that world since it also had the heavy water Great Tao. However, I was too late. A new Tao Lord had emerged in that world. This new Tao Lord wasn't very strong, but I still lost to them in a battle. I was defeated by their heavy water Great Tao. I was injured and fled, and that person began to pursue me. They had a secret technique that could devour my heavenly path. I don't know how long I ran, but the tidal storms suddenly erupted, and the Tao Lord fell during the storms. I was lucky I survived by using the heavy water great Tao left behind by that Tao Lord. After the tidal storms, my injuries healed, and I tried to find that world again. However, the world had changed positions during the storms, and I couldn't find it. After that, I've been searching in the soul void until I found this world. Unfortunately, this Tao Lord is too cunning and always escapes back into their world. There are many strong cultivators inside, so I didn't dare enter and have been stuck here. Lin Moyu listened and then asked in a low voice, Shen Dao friend, do you know that this world is the lizard god realm? ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up, go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3693, 3693. Chapter 3693, They Won't Come. The Lizard God Realm. Upon hearing these 3 words, Shen Chen suddenly erupted with a fierce killing intent. Previously, Shen Chen had given off a gentle impression, speaking calmly and unhurriedly. Even in life or death battles, he remained unchanged. However, now, just the mention of the lizard god realm made Shen Chen's killing intent boil over, which surprised Lin Moyu. Shen Chen seemed to grit his teeth, his voice filled with killing intent coming from deep within his soul. I didn't expect it to be them, I finally found them. Lin Moyu asked, Shen Dao friend, do you have a deep grudge against the lizard god realm? Shen Chen replied in a low voice, my family is from the origin continent. After I reached the Great Tao realm, I left my family and came to the Heavenly Water Tao sect in the Outer Great Tao. When the origin continent's catastrophe erupted, I fought alongside my sect but couldn't attend to anything else. After the catastrophe ended, I learned that my family had been destroyed by the lizard god realm. Lin Moyu sighed. I didn't know you were from the origin continent, Shen Dao friend. You must have ya. Shen Chen was lost in thought. I've thought about returning to find out, but back then, the origin continent was sealed, and I couldn't enter. I could only ask fellow Dao friends who fought on the origin continent to confirm that my family was gone. I once vowed that if I ever found the lizard god realm, I would annihilate it, leaving nothing behind. Lin Moyu could sense Shen Chen's hatred for the lizard god realm. For someone like Shen Chen, who seemed like a refined gentleman, once he set his mind on killing, it would be hard to quench his anger. Lin Moyu asked, in which continent was your family located? Shen Chen replied, the Zhonnan continent. During the origin continent's catastrophe, the Zhonnan continent sank, and my family was lost. Lin Moyu's heart stirred. He knew more about the deeper situation of the origin continent's catastrophe than many others. He muttered to himself, back then, the 5 continents didn't sink because they were defeated, it was the origin continent's world will and great Tao power that intentionally submerged them. Although many died, some survivors were sent to other continents. Hearing this, Shen Chen's eyes lit up. Please, Lin Dao friend, tell me more. Lin Moyu continued. The heavenly sealing Tao Lord, with the absolute heaven sealing formation, sealed the heavenly god realm's army at the bottom of the boundary sea. The formation's base was the 5 heavenly poles. The heavenly sealing Tao Lord worked with the world will to relocate most of the survivors from the 5 continents. Later, humans migrated several times and eventually settled mostly in the southern continent. I remember that in the southern continent, within the Cold Water Holy Land's territory, there was a city called Nanshui City, and the main family there was surnamed Shen. Besides that, there are several sizable Shen families on the southern continent. Perhaps your family might still exist. Lin Moyu's words gave Shen Chen hope. Shen Chen said, thank you, Lin Dao friend, but no matter what, I will annihilate the lizard god realm. For my family, for the origin continent, this hatred cannot be resolved. Lin Moyu smiled. Lin Moyu and Shen Dao friend share the same goal. Why don't we join forces and annihilate the lizard god realm? Although Lin Moyu appeared to be only at the 2nd-tier soul, Shen Chen could sense that he was unfathomable. At this moment, Shen Chen realized that since their last meeting, only a few hundred years had passed, a blink of an eye for him. Yet, Lin Moyu had advanced from the 7th-tier soul to his current level. This cultivation speed was terrifying. Therefore, Shen Chen didn't doubt Lin Moyu's suggestion. If Lin Dao friend assists, I believe we can succeed. Lin Moyu said, my strength is limited, we can only try our best. Shen Chen thought for a moment. To ensure we're fully prepared, should I go back and bring a couple of Dao Lords? Lin Moyu asked. Are they origin continent Dao Lords or branch Dao Lords? Shen Chen replied. Naturally, they are branch Dao Lords. With my strength, I couldn't summon origin continent Dao Lords. Lin Moyu sensed an underlying tone in Shen Chen's words. The Dao Lords Shen Chen knew weren't necessarily close friends, and it wouldn't be easy to get them to risk their lives here. Not everyone would care about the origin continent's grudge, especially after becoming a Dao Lord. They would focus more on their own great Dao contests, often ignoring external matters. Even if they came, there was a chance they might not contribute much. However, to annihilate an entire realm, without the help of Dao Lords, it would be very challenging with just their strength. Lin Moyu had self-awareness in the Void Realm. He could kill Dao Lords, but if they wanted to escape, he couldn't stop them. It wasn't reliable. Lin Moyu thought for a moment. I also know a few Dao Lords. Why don't I go invite them first? If they don't come, I'll bother Shen Dao friend later. Shen Chen didn't refuse, which confirmed Lin Moyu's speculation that Shen Chen's relationship with these Dao Lords was complicated. The Lizard God Realm's location was now confirmed. Lin Moyu left the Skeleton God General there, along with Shen Chen, so he wasn't worried about them escaping. Moreover, relocating an entire realm wasn't easy and required the cooperation of many Dao Lords, so they likely wouldn't flee. He rushed back to his soul world at the fastest speed. 2 days later, he returned to his own soul world. In the central continent, Antares suddenly sensed Lin Moyu's awakening. He transmitted a message asking, "You said you wouldn't be back for a while." Lin Moyu replied, "Something came up, and I need to return for a bit." His gaze swept towards the outer Great Dao, where many strong cultivators stood, watching the origin continent without knowing what they were looking at. Lin Moyu saw numerous soul flames, with Dao Lords hiding among them. He also found the person he was looking for, a Question Heaven Dao Lord. Question Heaven Dao Lord, originally named Yang Wenchen, had become a Dao Lord and was known as the Purple Thunder Dao Lord. He was hiding in the void, focusing on the origin continent. More accurately, he was watching over Lin Moyu himself. Yang Wenchen had once said he would always guard Lin Moyu, and he kept his word. Finding his target, Lin Moyu's soul stirred, and he transmitted a message, "Question Heaven Dao Lord, can you help me with something?" Yang Wenchen, hiding in the void, slightly raised an eyebrow. "Lin brother, you're back." Lin Moyu said, "I'm back. I need to find the third ancestor, can you help me bring him here?" Yang Wenchen nodded. "All right, I'll go find him." Lin Moyu saw Yang Wenchen's soul flame disappear as he went to find the third ancestor. Antares asked quietly, "What else do you have to do here?" Lin Moyu chuckled. "It's not related to here, it's about something in the Void Realm." Antares became increasingly curious. "What's happening in the Soul Void?" Lin Moyu didn't hide it. "I found the Lizard God Realm and plan to gather people to annihilate it." Antares was startled. "You plan to launch a massacre directly in the Soul Void?" Lin Moyu saw Antares' surprise and asked, "What's wrong?" Antares said, "If those guys from the small soul domains come, there will be danger." Lin Moyu thought for a moment and realized that Antares was referring to the kings of the small soul domains. In their view, these kings were very dangerous. Lin Moyu smiled lightly. "Don't worry, they won't come. ko-fi.com/translate-toki, only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up, go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3694, 3694. Chapter 3694, Killing Reality with the Virtual. In the Void Realm, Dao Lords and the kings of small soul domains were evenly matched, or even slightly inferior in some aspects, due to the immense power granted by the primordial virtual treasures. First-tier souls generally turned and fled upon seeing the kings of small soul domains, not wanting to engage with them. Only Lin Moyu viewed the kings of small soul domains as insignificant. With just the 1000 Dao illusionary formation and the world-burning fire, he could severely injure them. Adding the catastrophe staff, erasing them wasn't a problem. Previously, he had done just that, resulting in the absence of kings in dozens of nearby small soul domains. He had also seized all the primordial virtual treasures, making him the king of the small soul domains. Since the Lizard God Realm was within the small soul domains he controlled, he didn't need to worry about other kings interfering. Seeing Lin Moyu's confidence, Antares stopped asking questions. He knew Lin Moyu was someone who never acted without certainty and wouldn't joke with his life. Half a day later, Ouyang Wenchen returned with the third ancestor, the Beast Emperor, and the King of the Boundary Sea. The Beast Emperor was the Tao Lord of the Wind Great Tao, the third ancestor was the Tao Lord of the Balance Great Tao, and the King of the Boundary Sea was the Tao Lord of the Water Great Tao. Their three Great Taos were all from the origin continent, and as Tao Lords, they were incredibly powerful. However, being newly promoted, they couldn't fully unleash the power of their Great Taos yet. In the Void Realm, their strength would be slightly greater than Shen Chen's, who was a high-stage first-tier soul. Ouyang Wenchen had found the three together, so they all came along. The third ancestor transmitted a message asking, Lin Yongwen, what's this about? Lin Moyu replied, I've found the location of the Lizard God Realm. Are you interested in destroying it together? The expressions of the third ancestor and the others changed, clearly moved. They hadn't forgotten the grudge against the Lizard God Realm. The third ancestor asked quietly, is it just the location in the Void Realm? Have you discovered their position in the real world? The Beast Emperor whispered, if we can find their location in the real world, I'll go and slaughter them. Compared to destroying them in the Void Realm, the third ancestor and the others preferred to annihilate them in the real world. As long as their real world existed, it wouldn't be a complete victory. If the enemy's Tao Lord escaped with their soul world, it would be troublesome. Lin Moyu said, I don't know their real world location yet, but it's not important. I have a secret technique that can erase their real world through the soul void. This statement left the third ancestor and the others silent. After a while, the third ancestor spoke in a low voice, is there really such a technique that can kill reality with the virtual? He wasn't very convinced. In their traditional understanding, the soul void was a place for cultivation and great Tao contests, though it was fraught with danger. Destroying a world was something that should be done in the real world. The usual method was to find the target in the Void Realm, lock onto it, and then use the mapping relationship between the Void Realm and the real world to enter the world's mist and find the enemy's real world. This was the conventional way, but Lin Moyu was taking a different approach at killing reality with the virtual. This was something they had never thought of or seen anyone achieve. However, since Lin Moyu said it, they couldn't doubt its authenticity. After exchanging glances, they made their decision to trust Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu said, the grudge against the Lizard God tribe must be avenged. Perhaps you won't gain much from this, but if we succeed, the world will of the origin continent will reward us. The third ancestor said, my Great Tao is the Balanced Great Tao, where all things are balanced. The Lizard God tribe once launched an invasion against us, causing immense damage. We should retaliate to seek balance. After becoming a Tao Lord, the third ancestor's way of speaking had changed, perhaps due to the power of the Great Taos or revealing his true nature. The Beast Emperor simply said, why think so much? We have a grudge, let's just avenge it. The King of the Boundary Sea also whispered, I'll gather my army and accompany Lin Yongfen to attack them. Lin Moyu said, no need for a large army, just a few of you accompanying me will do. I'll wait outside the origin world. If you see my skeleton god generals in the soul void, let them guide you. They were not as familiar with the soul void as Lin Moyu. Once inside, they would likely lose their way. Lin Moyu had already deployed a large number of skeleton god generals in the soul void corresponding to the origin continent. Finding just one would provide guidance. This way, they would save a lot of time. Lin Moyu's aura disappeared with his voice as he re-entered the void realm. He rode the little python through the world barrier, dispersing the chaotic mist, and waited quietly. Over the past 100 years, the little python had gained immense benefits following Lin Moyu. Feasting on virtual soul pills, the little python had evolved into a third-tier virtual beast. Its size was much larger, even when shrunk it was over 100 meters, and when fully extended, it could reach up to 10,000 meters. Its scales released dazzling light under the faint glow of the void realm. However, the little python remained obedient, knowing its master was a formidable existence. As long as it listened, it would receive endless benefits. The little python asked, Master, how do you plan to destroy the lizard god realm? Lin Moyu replied, surround and annihilate them. These 4 words summed up Lin Moyu's tactic. It didn't require complex strategies or plans. Surrounding and killing would suffice. The current skeleton god generals had the strength of mid-stage second-tier souls, not the most powerful, but their numbers were overwhelming. Once billions of skeleton god generals charged forward, even someone like Shen Chen, a high-stage first-tier soul, would be troubled. Although Shen Chen could eventually break through, the process would be arduous. In situations where the strength difference wasn't extreme, no one could ignore the numerical advantage. Lin Muyu waited for a moment before sensing a message from a skeleton god general. It had found someone. The first to be found was Ouyang Wenchen, who wanted to join in on the excitement. Lin Muyu naturally had no reason to refuse, and having another Dao Lord wasn't bad. The skeleton god general led Ouyang Wenchen directly to the outside of the world. Ouyang Wenchen's eyes were filled with astonishment. I didn't expect Lin brother to have reached such a level. It's truly astonishing. When Lin Muyu was in the origin continent, his cultivation level couldn't be clearly seen from the outer Great Dao, not even by a 2.5 Dao Lord. In fact, Lin Muyu's true cultivation level had become a mystery. Some people guessed that Lin Muyu was at the 5th-tier soul, while others thought he was at the 4th-tier soul. No one dared guess that Lin Muyu was already at the 3rd-tier soul. If true, it would be too terrifying. This thought wasn't unique to others. Even Ouyang Wenchen had guessed that Lin Muyu was at most a 4th-tier soul. Yet, upon seeing him now, Lin Muyu was already at the 2nd-tier soul. In just a few hundred years, Lin Muyu had advanced from the 7th-tier soul to the 2nd-tier soul, a feat without precedent. Lin Muyu smiled. It's just luck. Ouyang Wenchen shook his head. Even the children of the world before the origin continent's catastrophe weren't as impressive as Lin brother. Lin Muyu smiled. Before the third ancestor and the others arrive, why don't you tell me about the children of the world? I'm quite excited. ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up. Go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3695, 3695. Chapter 3695, He Won't Tolerate Me. Lin Muyu had largely understood the events before and after the origin continent's catastrophe. Among these, he discovered a peculiar point of the world's child. The world's child gathered more than half of the origin continent's luck, but during the catastrophe, the world's child was sacrificed, and it was a deliberate act. The world's child's fate shouldn't have been this way. With the accumulated luck of the origin continent, they should have stood at the pinnacle of the world. Even with the catastrophe, they shouldn't have been sacrificed. It was like in the Great World, where during the most dangerous times, someone like Xiao Zhantian, who gathered the luck of the human race, emerged to save the world. This, in Lin Muyu's view, was the correct choice. However, sacrificing the world's child and returning their luck to the world was a decision Lin Muyu couldn't understand. Ouyang Wenchen, with a thoughtful expression, recalled the distant past. As for the world's child, I don't know much, but I'll share what I do know. Legend has it that when the world's child was born, all the great Daos resonated, and every Dao Lord simultaneously learned of their identity. They were born of the world's will, possessing 60% of the origin continent's luck. Dao Lords weren't qualified to take them as disciples, but they were taught by heavenly teachings. From a young age, they mastered various secret techniques and received endless favor. No one dared to harm them. Their cultivation was smooth, without bottlenecks, and they broke through to the great Dao realm in just 10,000 years, unprecedented in history. Ouyang Wenchen paused. Indeed, they were unprecedented, but saying there was no one after them was no longer true. Lin Muyu, who had lived for only a few thousand years, was already at the 2nd-tier soul great Dao realm, surpassing the world's child in many ways. Ouyang Wenchen coughed lightly and continued. After reaching the great Dao realm, their cultivation speed slowed but was still much faster than others. Later, during the origin continent's catastrophe, the world's child was at the 6th-tier soul. The 6th-tier soul was somewhat useful during the catastrophe, but not much. However, they possessed 60% of the origin continent's luck, so they were sacrificed, and their luck returned to the heavens. Lin Muyu asked, was he truly sacrificed? Ouyang Wenchen replied, it seems so, but I'm not entirely clear. Perhaps the third ancestor knows more. Just then, the third ancestor's voice came from the side, you're saying that I might know more. The skeleton god general had led the third ancestor there, and he had overheard some of the conversation. Upon seeing Lin Muyu, the third ancestor exclaimed, Lin Young-won, you've reached the 2nd-tier soul. Lin Muyu chuckled, it's nothing surprising. The third ancestor snorted, indeed, nothing that happens to you is surprising anymore. Lin Muyu said, we were just discussing the world's child. You arrived at the right time. The third ancestor frowned slightly. What's there to discuss about the world's child? Lin Moyu asked. Question Heaven Tao Lord said the world's child was sacrificed. Was it forced? The third ancestor replied. Does it matter? The great Taos needed to reclaim their luck, and he couldn't do anything about it. Lin Moyu said. Couldn't he have quickly risen to the pinnacle of the great Taos, leading all the Tao Lords to change the course of events? If the great Taos were willing, it should have been possible. The third ancestor shook his head. Perhaps it could have been done, but the fate great Tao was destroyed during the catastrophe, and the world's child was destined not to reach the highest peak. They primarily cultivated the fate great Tao. Lin Moyu's heart trembled. The world's child cultivated the fate great Tao, which was the first great Tao to be shattered during the catastrophe. From then on, the world's child lost the possibility of becoming a Tao Lord and was ultimately sacrificed. Fate great Tao, world's child. Lin Moyu tried to connect the two, feeling there should be a relationship between them. He had interacted with the origin continent's heavenly mandate great Tao many times and had glimpsed some clues. Intelligence. The world will of the origin continent, or its great Taos themselves, seem to have been born with intelligence. Normally, world wills only had instincts and shouldn't have intelligence. The world should operate within predetermined rules, which aren't easily changed. Once a world will gains intelligence, it can easily alter these rules, making it unpredictable for the entire world. A sufficiently intelligent world will could lead the world towards greater glory. If it's selfish, it could lead the world to destruction. It's unclear if the origin continent has given birth to a world will, but Lin Moyu had a vague feeling. This can't be judged unless he directly interacts with the world will. Lin Moyu could only infer from the world's child's experiences. The world's child's sacrifice was indeed forced. Because the fate great Tao was shattered, the world's child couldn't reach the pinnacle, so they were sacrificed. This also indirectly suggests that the world will must have gained intelligence, making choices. It was precisely this reason that the world will cultivated the world's child. If things had developed normally, the world's child should have become the Tao Lord of the fate great Tao. They would have become the representative of the world will, not the master of the world but superior to one. In this way, the origin continent couldn't have a true world master. If a world master appeared, they would have to control the world will. With intelligence, why would the world will willingly be controlled? As Lin Moyu pondered, the third ancestor said, by the way, back then, the Beast Emperor was close to the world's child. When the world's child dispersed, the Beast Emperor was by their side. Lin Moyu glanced to the side, and as he mentioned the Beast Emperor arrived. Upon seeing Lin Moyu's cultivation level, the Beast Emperor let out a sharp cry. The third ancestor said, calm down, there's no need to be so shocked. Lin Moyu looked at the Beast Emperor, seeing their true form for the first time. The Beast Emperor usually shrouded themselves in mist, making it impossible for outsiders to see their true appearance. Sometimes, they only revealed what they wanted others to see. However, now in the soul void, appearing in a soul form, they couldn't hide their true identity. The third ancestor chuckled. How do you like it? Didn't expect them to look like this, did you? Lin Moyu said. It's reasonable. The Beast Emperor was indeed from the demon tribe but wasn't one of the 10 royal families. They were a heaven-devouring mouse. Not just Lin Moyu was shocked, even Yang Wenchen was surprised. In the outer Great Tao, heaven-devouring mice were highly sought after. Heaven-devouring mice were also known as treasure-seeking mice, and many people wanted to obtain one because they had an innate ability to find treasures. Especially when entering the world mist or exploring strange lands, heaven-devouring mice were incredibly effective. The Beast Emperor said quietly, I am the first heaven-devouring mouse in the origin continent. Do you have any objections? Lin Moyu shook his head. You should know that Lin Garden has a heaven-devouring mouse. The Beast Emperor said, I know. If not for your kindness towards it, I would have eaten you long ago. The third ancestor snorted. You're all talk. Tell me, when the world's child was sacrificed, did they say anything? The Beast Emperor thought for a moment. I think they did say something. It was a long time ago, and I remembered after thinking for a while. They said, he won't tolerate me. Asterisk 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 asterisk. I will go with, cause in effect Dao AA is section A. Undead AA, a Section A. Side note. I do prefer undead, as it fits the theme, but since more people prefer immortality, and it's a more accurate translation, I'll stick with immortality. Asterisk 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 asterisk. ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up. Go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3696, 3696. Chapter 3696, Reversing Cause and Effect. He won't tolerate me. The third ancestor and the others looked at the Beast Emperor with puzzlement, clearly not understanding the meaning behind his words. Lin Moyu, lost in thought, glanced back at the world barrier. Black Senior has arrived. The king of the Boundary Sea, whose true name was Mohei, was called Old Black by the third ancestor and the Beast Emperor. He belonged to the Great Whale clan and initially lived in the Boundary Sea of the Origin Continent. After achieving the Great Tao, he entered the Water Great Tao. After the Origin Continent's catastrophe, he sought to reclaim the position of Tao Lord of the Water Great Tao by re-entering the Origin Continent and the Boundary Sea, becoming the king of the Boundary Sea. Now, as the Tao Lord of the Water Great Tao, the third ancestor and the Beast Emperor still referred to him as Old Black, a nickname that didn't hold much significance to him. Upon seeing Lin Moyu, the king of the Boundary Sea reacted similarly to the Beast Emperor, being startled by Lin Moyu's cultivation level. Lin Moyu smiled. Please, seniors, follow me. He led the way, flying towards the Lizard God realm. The journey was shrouded in thick mist, covering vast distances in the blink of an eye. The Beast Emperor wondered, why haven't we seen any virtual beasts? The third ancestor also whispered, it's indeed strange. They had previously encountered virtual beasts in the Soul Void, even if they didn't consider them significant. However, now, not a single virtual beast was seen, which was peculiar. Lin Moyu didn't speak, continuing to fly forward, distancing themselves from the Origin Continent. Only when they were far away, roughly the distance of a small soul domain, did Lin Moyu stop. Seniors, I have something to say, but I'm not sure if I should. The Beast Emperor said, among us, there's nothing we can't discuss. Speak freely. The third ancestor chuckled. What are you thinking, little fox? Lin Moyu hesitated but eventually pulled out two primordial virtual treasures, the soul-devouring fire basin and the Soul Heart King's soul-shaking treasure mountain. The soul-devouring fire basin spewed forth flames, creating a sea of fire that surrounded them. The soul-shaking treasure mountain radiated a brilliant light, enveloping everyone. The third ancestor was astonished. These are primordial virtual treasures. How did they end up in your hands? Lin Moyu replied. Over the years, I've killed several kings of small soul domains. The others exchanged glances, shocked by what Lin Moyu had done. Killing the kings of small soul domains wasn't something to be taken lightly. Even with primordial virtual treasures, becoming a Tao Lord didn't guarantee the ability to kill these kings. The third ancestor seemed to realize something. Lin Young-won, did you use the Great Tao Essence Fire? Lin Moyu said, you're focusing on the wrong point, seniors. The important thing is what I'm about to say. The third ancestor then understood why Lin Moyu had hesitated earlier. What do you want to say? Lin Moyu said, based on my judgment, the world will of the Origin Continent has gained intelligence and self-awareness. His words exploded like thunder in the minds of the others. At their level, they naturally understood Lin Moyu's words. For a world, the true endpoint for a cultivator is to become a Tao Lord. After achieving this, they must continue to strengthen their Great Tao through contests, eventually entering the Great Tao's true body. Only then can they be considered true Tao Lords. Currently, the third ancestor and the Beast Emperor mastered projected Great Taos, not the true bodies of the Great Taos, which remained in the Origin ancestral land. Once someone becomes a true Tao Lord, they will transcend their world, enter the Origin ancestral land, and reflect their Great Tao into the Origin ancestral land. This is the final destination for Tao Lords. However, before entering the Origin ancestral land and mastering the true body of the Great Tao, one must inevitably transcend their own world. They would no longer be Tao Lords under the world but would become Tao sages above it. Projected Great Taos exist within the world, while the true bodies of the Great Taos are above it. When the origin ancestral land descended, it firmly suppressed the entire origin world using the power of the great Tao's true body. If the world will has gained intelligence, it would not allow anyone to transcend it, meaning their path to mastering the true body of the great Tao would be cut off. Once someone tries to transcend the world will would erase them. As Tao lords within the world, they would find it difficult to prevail against the world will. This outcome was despairing for many Tao lords. Mo Hei's expression turned serious, his voice low. This isn't something to joke about. How did you come to this conclusion, Lin brother? Lin Moyu replied. You all know I was granted heavenly teachings, which allowed me to interact with the world will. However, at the time, I didn't feel anything special. Recently, I've seen many worlds in the soul void and helped a small soul domain king transcend. I witnessed their struggle against the world will, which raised some doubts in my mind. That world will seemed different from the one on the origin continent. After several attempts, I acted out of bounds on the origin continent, intentionally provoking punishment, and each time, I received clear guidance from the heavenly teachings. You should also understand that the world will shouldn't behave this way. It should follow the grand trend without changing, but allow for minor adjustments. Especially during the origin continent's catastrophe, the fate of the world's child reinforced my speculation to over 70%. The Beast Emperor's mention of the world's child's last words brought my speculation to 90%. The world will of the origin continent has gained intelligence, perhaps not strong, but it must have its own thoughts. So, I'm warning you seniors to be cautious. Lin Moyu's words were logical and convincing, and they had to believe him. However, this was still just Lin Moyu's speculation and couldn't be fully confirmed. At this moment, Lin Moyu pulled out a mirror. Seniors should recognize this mirror. The Beast Emperor's nose twitched. This is the Chigu mirror you obtained from the illusory god's child. Lin Moyu said. This mirror has the ability to reverse cause and effect, and it's most effective in the soul void. Today, with your witness, I'll use it to confirm the final link, turning my 90% speculation into either 100% or 0. Speculations have only two outcomes, correct or incorrect. Therefore, Lin Moyu decided to verify it. The third ancestor guessed what Lin Moyu was about to do. This is dangerous. Lin Moyu replied. It doesn't matter, this is important. Even if it costs something, it must be done. The others remained silent, knowing this had to be done. Since Lin Moyu chose to do this, it meant he was confident in his ability to escape unscathed. Lin Moyu used his soul power to activate the Chigu mirror, declaring loudly, using the third ancestor as the cause and transcendence as the effect, reverse cause and effect. The Chigu mirror burst forth with dazzling light, and the third ancestor's figure appeared within it. Then, a world unfolded before them, which they recognized as something from the origin continent. The third ancestor stood atop an unnamed mountain peak, gazing up at the sky. A massive, cold, and merciless eye appeared in the sky, and with just one glance, the third ancestor's body exploded. ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up. Go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3697, 3697. Chapter 3697, Failure means martyrdom. In the light projection, the third ancestor's body exploded, his soul scattering. In the soul void, the third ancestor's soul trembled violently, a chill rising from the depths of his heart. Anyone who saw their own death would struggle to remain calm. The eye that killed the projected third ancestor turned towards Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu acted swiftly, cutting off his soul power and pulling out the artifact spirit, Little Chong, but it was too late. The Chigu mirror exploded with a loud bang, and Lin Moyu's soul shattered like a balloon. This situation startled everyone. Lin Moyu's soul had been destroyed so easily. A purple light appeared out of nowhere, and Lin Moyu's soul was reborn within it. The destroyed Chigu mirror was fortunate to have Little Chong pulled out in time. It stared blankly around, nearly frightened to tears by the terrifying presences. Lin Moyu quickly grabbed it and stored it away. Artifact spirits were valuable, sometimes more important than the Chigu mirror. Reborn, Lin Moyu calmly said. Fortunately, I reacted quickly and didn't reveal my identity. The previous arrangements worked. The primordial virtual treasures block the world will's probing, and my identity remains hidden. The third ancestor trembled, asking, is it really him? Lin Moyu nodded. Before, I was 90% sure, but now I'm 100% certain that the world will of the origin continent has gained intelligence. And this intelligence is selfish. Anyone who tries to transcend will be killed. It's the law of the great Taos. I can sense that it also wants to transcend. The third ancestor, having witnessed his own death and faced the merciless eye, chose to believe Lin Moyu's words, muttering, "This explains a lot." The Beast Emperor asked, "What does it explain?" Mohei seemed to understand. The third ancestor, "Are you referring to the Lord of Hell?" The third ancestor nodded. "Yes, I never understood why the Lord of Hell died so easily. Now it makes some sense. If we connect the dots, we can understand it this way. Back then, the Lord of Hell didn't follow the path of great Tao contests. He wanted to directly transcend and become the world master. So, he captured the Taiyan ancestral dragon and refined it, seizing the source power of the Yin dragon Great Tao. Afterward, he planned to capture the Yang dragon ancestor, taking the source power of the Yang dragon as well, to merge them into the Yin-Yang source. If successful, he would have used the Hell Great Tao combined with the Yin-Yang Great Taos to transcend the world and become the first person in the world. He would have borrowed the faith of countless living beings to complete his transcendence and become the world master. However, the Yang dragon ancestor somehow received the news and escaped before the Lord of Hell could act. When he returned, he was already afflicted with a terrible curse, having entered an ancient desolate land. From then on, the Lord of Hell's plan failed, and he could only engage in great Tao contests. Ultimately, he was killed by a strong figure during the origin continent's catastrophe. The third ancestor recounted the entire process, having been close to the Lord of Hell and knowing many secrets others didn't. The Beast Emperor whispered, "Could it be that the one who killed the Lord of Hell was the World Will?" The third ancestor shook his head. "It shouldn't be. The World Will was the mastermind, but someone else killed the Lord of Hell. After his transcendence failed, he told me that he would inevitably die. Before, I didn't fully understand, but now I do. From that time on, the World Will had been watching him, stripping him of his luck. No matter what he did, he would eventually die. In fact, from that time on, the Lord of Hell was preparing. He placed a severe curse on his own hell. If he died, hell would shatter, and its fragments would destroy the world. Because of the Lord of Hell's curse, the third ancestor is worried about the hell fragments and even fears them." The Beast Emperor said, "If there's such a secret, then we truly have no path forward." The third ancestor looked at Lin Moyu. "Whether there's a path forward depends on this little fox." Several pairs of eyes turned to Lin Moyu, who smiled wryly. "Don't look at me, I don't know what to do either. I'm also at a loss." The third ancestor snorted, clearly not believing Lin Moyu. "If you have any ideas, speak up." The Beast Emperor chimed in. "Lin brother, if you have a plan, just say it. Don't keep us in suspense." Lin Moyu said, "There is a way, but it's difficult and extremely dangerous." The third ancestor said, "I knew this little fox had a plan. Speak quickly." Initially, they thought there was no path forward, but now hope emerged. As long as there was hope, no matter how difficult, they could try. Without hope, there was nothing. Lin Moyu said, "I once befriended a king of a small soul domain and helped him find a world to complete his transcendence. Although the process of transcendence is perilous, with your Tao hearts, there's a chance if you can find the right world. So, to escape the control of the World Will, the best method is to find a suitable world and directly complete transcendence." The third ancestor sighed. "Finding a suitable world? The soul void is vast. Where do we even start looking?" Lin Moyu chuckled. "I created a rune called the Seeking Realm rune. With it, you can spend less time searching for hidden worlds in the soul void. I've tried it many times and found dozens of worlds, but most are guarded by Tao lords, and my strength isn't enough." The Beast Emperor's eyes lit up. "Lin brother, do you mean we should forcefully take them?" Lin Moyu shook his head. "Not simply by force. We need to find a suitable world, preferably one with a causal connection. If the world is too strong, I can find a way to weaken it. Before that, we'll need to work together to eliminate the top-tier strongholds in those worlds. Once we transcend, we'll become the world masters, gaining true freedom and no longer being bound by the world will of the origin continent." Listening to Lin Moyu, it seemed simple, but in reality, it would be extremely difficult. The third ancestor immediately identified the key point. The third ancestor whispered, "This can only be done once. Since the World Will has gained intelligence, if it happens once, it won't allow it to happen again." Lin Moyu said, it should be that way. So, we need to find several suitable worlds and act simultaneously, without giving the world will time to react. If this succeeds, we'll transcend and be free. If we fail, we won't need the world will to act, we'll be destroyed. You must think carefully. Mohei slapped his fin heavily. What's there to think about? In a situation where we have no future, why not take a gamble? Otherwise, why become Tao Lords if we're just going to be controlled? The Beast Emperor added, if we don't know, it's one thing, but since we do, what's the point of being Tao Lords if we don't take a chance? Up until then, Ouyang Wenchen had been silent, but he spoke up quietly. I may have low strength, but I'm not willing to be anyone's puppet. Lin Moyu nodded. Since that's the case, let's take a chance. The third ancestor asked, Little Fox, are you also planning to do this? ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up, go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3698, 3698. Chapter 3698, I'll take the lead. Facing the third ancestor's question, Lin Moyu shook his head, my path is different from yours. I won't become a Tao Lord, but I will have a final battle with the world will of the origin continent. At that time, the strong figures of the origin continent will likely become the world will's soldiers and engage in a life or death battle with me. I don't want to face death with you seniors. The third ancestor could sense that Lin Moyu's words were genuine. If they were to face each other in a life or death battle, it would be somewhat pitiful. However, if he remained in the origin continent at that time, this battle seemed unavoidable. The Beast Emperor asked, what about your friends on the origin continent? Lin Moyu replied, their strength is not great, a single formation could trap them. Once I settle the battle with the world will, everything will be resolved. But you seniors are powerful, and I couldn't show mercy if we were to fight. If it were another Tao Lord, they would certainly think I'm boasting. But you understand me, you know I'm not speaking nonsense. Ordinary Tao Lords are no longer in my consideration. When the time comes, facing me could mean certain death. The third ancestor said, this matter is still early, let's not discuss it for now. Instead, let's talk about the Lizard God realm. Do you plan to destroy it or occupy it? Lin Moyu said, there are many worlds, and the Lizard God realm isn't the best choice, but it's a good one. Firstly, it's not too strong. Relatively speaking, neither the Tao Lords nor the world itself are powerful. Secondly, it has a past with the origin continent, and there's a causal connection between them. If someone becomes the master of the Lizard God realm, they could use the cause and effect Great Tao to locate the origin continent in the real world. I'm not referring to locating it in the soul void, but in the real world. This is crucial. Once located in the real world, we can perform various operations, such as launching a feint attack on the origin continent to draw away strong forces and reduce my burden and casualties. Lin Moyu isn't hiding this, it's his personal intention. Please forgive him. The third ancestor said, cultivators all have personal intentions. Without them, why cultivate? The great Taos are impartial because they lack intelligence. Once they gain intelligence, they will also have personal intentions. You've thought of reducing casualties, which is commendable. If we occupy several worlds, we can work together to locate the origin continent and launch a feint attack in coordination with you. The third ancestor spoke, and the Beast Emperor and others agreed, finding this plan feasible. They also had friends and family on the origin continent and didn't want innocent lives lost. This was the outcome Lin Moyu desired, and having the third ancestor suggest it was more effective than if he had said it himself. Lin Moyu smiled. It's too early to discuss this now. Let's go deal with the Lizard God realm first. The third ancestor said, you're lingering here, let's get moving. With this settled, Lin Moyu felt a slight relief in his heart. He couldn't predict the future, so he could only lay out his plans as best he could. Lin Moyu couldn't help but mock himself. He had unknowingly transformed from an insignificant pawn into a key player in the grand scheme, ready to clash with the entire world. Although the origin continent was just a small part of the vast universe, it was still enormous for him. He wanted to become stronger, so he had to first overturn this sea. Collaborating with the third ancestor and others was the first step in doing so. The group pierced through the thick mist, drawing closer to the Lizard God realm. Along the way, they still didn't encounter any virtual beasts. Lin Moyu had cleared them out earlier. Some were absorbed or refined into virtual soul pills, which became little pythons' possessions. Throughout the journey, little Python remained at Lin Moyu's feet, serving as his mount. It didn't speak, nor did it dare to. It didn't even want to listen. The conspiracy among these powerful figures was beyond what a mere virtual beast like it could handle. The more it knew, the more entangled it would become in causality, and the sooner it would die. Yet, it had no choice but to listen. All it could do was cling to Lin Moyu's leg and not let go. The third ancestor looked at little Python. Little fox, your mount isn't bad. Lin Moyu nodded. It's quite obedient. It's followed me for a few hundred years and knows what to do and what not to do. The third ancestor said, if it listens, it can live longer. If not, it can be slaughtered. The beast emperor said, don't scare the little guy. If it doesn't listen, don't kill it. I like eating virtual beasts. Mohei chuckled. Your mouth is too small, you eat slowly. My mouth is big, I can swallow directly without pain. The beast emperor said, don't joke. If you swallow it, it would still suffer from your innate essence fire, which would be truly agonizing. Little Python trembled, listening to these terrifying figures who casually talked about eating it. Lin Moyu laughed. This guy is timid. If you keep scaring it, it might die from fear. The beast emperor laughed heartily and patted little Python's head. Don't be afraid, little one. I'm just teasing. Little Python remained silent, focusing on moving forward. Finally, they arrived outside the lizard god realm. Shen Chen sat motionless in the void, then stood up to greet them as he saw Lin Moyu approaching with the others. Shen Chen greets the Tao Lords. Shen Chen bowed respectfully, recognizing these figures as Tao Lords. Especially when facing Mohei, Shen Chen felt a sense of awe, feeling inferior and wanting to kneel. Lin Moyu introduced. This is Shen Chen, a high-ranking one-tier soul cultivator of the heavy water Great Tao. Mohei appraised him. I remember that the Great Tao has a Tao Lord. Shen Chen replied. What you said is correct, sir. The Tao Lord of the heavy water Great Tao is my teacher. Mohei smiled. You don't want to take your teacher's position as Tao Lord, so you're seeking a world outside to become a Tao Lord. This idea is good, but unfortunately, you'll likely die trying. Shen Chen said. I understand, but there's no other way. There's a path forward, and I must proceed. My teacher's kindness is boundless, and I can only do this. From their brief conversation, it was clear that Shen Chen was a man of strong emotions and loyalty, unwilling to usurp his teacher's position as Tao Lord. Instead, he sought opportunities outside. It's a perilous path, but he had no choice. Lin Moyu looked favorably upon Shen Chen because of this. He thought of helping Shen Chen achieve his goal, perhaps even becoming a Tao Lord. The third ancestor said, someone with such strong emotions and loyalty is rare. Since that's the case, let's help him achieve his goal. Mohei said, I'll take the lead. As he spoke, the void filled with water, transforming into a massive wave that surged towards the lizard god realm. ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up, go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3699, 3699. Chapter 3699, a bizarre feeling. The massive waves rolled in, and the water Great Tao appeared in the void. The water Great Tao hadn't been reflected into the origin ancestral land, so it couldn't display its full power anywhere in the soul void. Mohei entered the soul void, where his strength would be discounted in many places. However, since they were at the lizard god realm, which had the water Great Tao, Mohei could utilize it to its fullest extent. In other words, Mohei borrowed the lizard god realm's water Great Tao to launch an attack. The waves mixed with Mohei's spiritual intent crashed against the lizard god realm's world barrier. In the eyes of virtual beasts, the world barrier didn't exist, but for Lin Moyu and others, it was real. The barrier distorted, partially caving inward, and the waves surged in. The barrier didn't break, its role was to filter chaotic Great Tao powers, making the Taos within the world orderly. It didn't have strong defensive capabilities. Once the attack exceeded its defensive power, it would cease resistance and activate the world will, alerting all strong figures in the world of an external invasion. Shen Chen watched this scene and finally confirmed Mohei's identity, understanding why he felt compelled to kneel. Mohei was the Tao Lord of the Water Great Tao, while Shen Chen cultivated the Heavy Water Great Tao, a branch of the Water Great Tao. This hierarchical relationship in the Taos explained his instinctive reaction. Shen Chen was also confident in Mohei and the others. With the Tao Lords of the Origin Great Taos present, there was nothing to worry about. The other figures seemed no weaker than Mohei. Who dares to come seeking death? A voice roared from the lizard god realm as 5 figures emerged, including the Tao Lord who had previously fought Shen Chen and controlled the heavy water Great Tao. Mohei roared back, "You've come at the right time." The waves suddenly became chaotic, losing their previous order. Endless water bubbles rose and burst, each explosion accompanied by massive force, like giant palms slapping the lizard god realm figures. The 5 figures were instantly destabilized, but the attack wasn't lethal, it was more humiliating than damaging. However, this was just the beginning. Mohei waved his hand, and the waves surged again, encircling the 5 figures. As they struggled to stand, they realized the danger and pulled out their treasures to try and break through the waves. But Mohei's waves were not easy to breach, his previous actions were designed to trap them. Great Tao Cage! Mohei roared, and the waves became thick and heavy, like a solid yet flexible material. The lizard god realm's 5 Tao Lords attacked, but to no avail. Mohei chuckled. "Once you enter my cage, it's not easy to escape." He shouted again. Stab! Endless spears emerged within the cage, leaving no space for the 5 Tao Lords to dodge. They concentrated their power for defense, but the continuous barrage of spears made them suffer. These 5 were not Tao Lords of the origin Great Taos, so they were weaker than Mohei. However, as Tao Lords themselves, killing them wouldn't be easy. The soul void's space shook, and the chaotic mist was completely dispersed as the 5 figures resisted the attack. They gathered all their strength and launched a counterattack, trying to break the cage. Multiple great Taos appeared as the lizard god realm figures drove their Taos against Mohei. It was clear that Mohei was straining to maintain his great Tao cage, but the increasing force inside the cage was challenging for him. Mohei said, "The first shot has been fired, you can act now." Lin Moyu suggested, "Instead of injuring all 5, why not focus on killing one or severely wounding them? Leave the others for now." Mohei hesitated. "Not leave them all behind." Lin Moyu shook his head. "No, don't leave them." The 3rd ancestor understood Lin Moyu's strategy. "Old Black, listen to the little fox." Mohei was decisive and followed Lin Moyu's plan. The spears in the cage vanished instantly. The 5 lizard god realm Tao Lords breathed a sigh of relief, thinking Mohei was done, but suddenly, a massive war knife appeared. The knife struck one of the Tao Lords, and the waves erupted again, trying to separate the 5 figures and prevent them from combining their strength. Mohei focused on one target as per Lin Moyu's advice. The lizard god realm figures realized Mohei's plan and extended their tails, connecting them to each other, refusing to separate. The 5 figures roared together, unleashing a massive force against the war knife. The void shook, and a terrifying power swept in all directions. Lin Moyu saw several soul worlds collapse within the world barrier, and those unfortunate souls were erased, dying instantly. In the midst of the massive waves, the 5 figures broke out of the cage and retreated back into their realm. Mohei was dissatisfied with his strike, muttering, "Tao Lords are indeed hard to kill." Lin Moyu smiled. "If Tao Lords were easy to kill, we wouldn't need seniors like you to take action. You're already impressive for facing 5 alone and driving them back." Mohei asked, "Now, why didn't you act?" Lin Moyu explained, "We've already alerted them. Next, we should lure them out. The lizard god realm has more Tao Lords. If we kill too many, the others might escape. In fact, if they do escape, it's not a big deal. What we fear is that they'll hide and, when we reach the core of the world, coordinate with the world will to counterattack. That would be troublesome. So, the best approach is to lure out a batch and kill them. After that, things will be easier." The 3rd ancestor chuckled. "You've been a king for so long, yet you don't understand these things." Mohei said, "Who thinks about these things? If I'm unhappy, I just kill directly. I didn't need to strategize in battles when I was the unchallenged king in the Boundary Sea." His strategies aren't in battles but in setting up his position as a Tao Lord. The 3rd ancestor added, "We haven't had a big war in a long time. In this battle, it's better to listen to the little fox." The Beast Emperor said. Indeed, Lin Moyu emerged from a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. His killing intent is heavy, you've seen it before. Listening to him won't be wrong. Although their cultivation levels were higher than Lin Moyu's, they were more inclined to trust him in this aspect. Lin Moyu looked at them, feeling a strange sensation. It seemed unnatural that the origin continent had grown to its current state without its strong figures experiencing numerous wars. In the history of the origin continent, there was only the origin catastrophe. These Tao Lords, who had lived for countless years, were powerful but lacked practical battle experience. This is really strange. This bizarre feeling made Lin Moyu uncomfortable. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Luck, fate, fortune are the same thing from now on. We'll go with fate. Fate Dao A degree EA section A. Destiny Dao A 1/2 EA section A. Asterisk 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 asterisk. ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up. Go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a. Chapter 3700, 3700. Chapter 3700, The Second Suspicion. Since they couldn't figure it out, Lin Moyu and the third ancestor openly invaded the lizard god realm. As they crossed the world barrier, the entire lizard god realm trembled. The world will awakened, instinctively sending a warning throughout the world, alerting it to the external invasion. Most cultivators in the world received this warning, stopping whatever they were doing to respond. Great Dao cultivators swarmed out, entering the soul void. Countless soul flames burned brightly as the army quickly assembled, growing in number. One by one, Dao lords appeared, becoming the leaders of the army. In this moment, Lin Moyu discovered the second suspicious point. Why could the strong figures of the lizard god realm gather so quickly and accurately in the soul void, where it was difficult to determine one's location? Unlike the origin continent, even the third ancestor and others needed the guidance of the skeleton god general when entering the soul void. Reflecting on his previous encounter with the golden lion Dao Lord, Lin Moyu realized he should have noticed something was off earlier. The golden lion Dao Lord and his companions seemed able to find their bearings in their own world. Lin Moyu thought to himself, why didn't I feel this was abnormal back then? I didn't even have the thought. He glanced at the third ancestor and others beside him. They didn't seem to suspect anything either. However, this was the biggest problema. Someone like the third ancestor, a cunning old fox, shouldn't have missed it. The only possibility was that he had been deceived. Lin Moyu himself had also been deceived until now. Lin Moyu's gaze flickered. The origin continent seems more complex than imagined. With the world will gaining intelligence, what has it hidden? At that moment, he heard the third ancestor's voice. Little fox, the opposing army has assembled. What about yours? Aren't you going to act? Lin Moyu scanned the void. The lizard god realm's army was advancing towards them. The army numbered over 1,000,000, all above the great Dao realm. Most were 7th to 9th tier great Dao cultivators, making up 70%. 4th to 6th tier cultivators accounted for over 20%. There were only a few tens of thousands of 3rd tier soul great Dao cultivators. If divided further, there were only 100 first-tier soul great Dao cultivators. They were led by 18 Dao lords, including 3 origin Dao lords and 15 branch Dao lords. In terms of Dao lords, the lizard god realm had the upper hand. However, on another front, the third ancestor knew some of Lin Moyu's secrets and wasn't concerned about the million-strong lizard god realm army. Lin Moyu said, "Don't rush. Let's wait and see if anyone else comes. The lizard god realm is a world, after all it shouldn't have so few great Dao cultivators." The third ancestor shook his head, "It's about right. The lizard god realm isn't a major realm. Its Daos are incomplete. It used to be subordinate to the heavenly god realm, which wouldn't allow it to grow strong." Lin Moyu didn't doubt the third ancestor's words, whispering, "In that case, let's wait until they get closer and try to annihilate them in one go." The third ancestor said, "Leave the army to you. How will we deal with these 18 Dao lords?" They had 3 origin Dao lords and 1 branch Dao lord, plus Shen Chen, who was not weaker than a branch Dao lord. However, they were outnumbered. But the third ancestor and others were confident in their methods, which far surpassed those of the lizard god realm's Dao lords. Lin Moyu said, "I think the lizard god realm's Dao lord who cultivates the heavy water great Dao should be handled by Shen Chen and Ouyang Wenchen working together. Since there's no purple thunder great Dao here, Ouyang Wenchen's strength can't be fully utilized, so it's safer for him to team up with Shen Chen." Here, there's also no balance great Tao, but I trust the third ancestor's strength. So, the 3 origin Tao lords of the lizard god realm can be dealt with by the 3 of you. Try not to let them escape. As for the remaining 14 branch Tao lords, I may not be able to kill them, but I can trap them for a while. Once you've handled your opponents, you can come and deal with these branch Tao lords. Lin Moyu not only faced a 1,000,000-strong army but also planned to trap 4 Tao lords. Yet, despite being only a second-tier soul great Tao cultivator, his words weren't doubted. Instead, both the third ancestor and the beast emperor trusted Lin Moyu's plan. The third ancestor said, "Since you've arranged it this way, let's follow your plan. It seems we really need to have a serious battle today." The beast emperor chuckled. "Let's see what the soul of a Tao lord tastes like. This will be a great Tao contest. Killing them will also strengthen my Tao." Mohei sneered, his massive body twisting in the void. "Come on, let's start the great Tao contest." Ouyang Wenchen didn't oppose Lin Moyu's plan because it was true. In this place, his strength would be greatly discounted, and he wouldn't have an advantage against any of the lizard god realm's Tao lords. This was the difference between origin and branch Tao lords. Most worlds have origin great Taos, but branch great Taos are less complete, making them more susceptible to constraints. However, if he teamed up with Shen Chen to face a branch Tao lord of the lizard god realm, their chances were better. The lizard god realm's army drew closer. The third ancestor and others had already prepared their treasures, ready to act. When the distance was less than 10,000 kilometers, Lin Moyu finally moved. He opened his storage space, and legion commanders rushed out, dispersing in all directions. They quickly summoned the Dragon Rider Legion, followed by a massive number of skeleton god generals and over 10,000 skeleton kings. Lin Moyu pulled out a primordial virtual treasure, a damaged fan controlled by a virtual body. A strong gust of wind blew, and chaotic mist erupted from the fan, creating spatial folds. In an instant, his undead legion, accompanied by the wind and wrapped in chaotic mist, traversed the folded space, appearing around the lizard god realm's army in a manner akin to teleportation. Lin Moyu used the special ability of the primordial virtual treasure to transport his undead legion directly to the battlefield, giving the lizard god realm's army no chance to react. The encirclement was complete. The undead army numbered in the hundreds of billions, densely surrounding the lizard god realm's forces. The cultivators of the lizard god realm were shocked, feeling the power of the undead legion. Any single skeleton god general was a second-tier soul great Tao cultivator, and they outnumbered the lizard god realm's forces. But now, they had no choice but to fight. As Lin Moyu acted, the third ancestor and others charged towards the lizard god realm's Tao lords. The Tao lords of the lizard god realm also roared, pulling out their treasures and attacking the undead legion. They knew they had to break through the encirclement or risk their army being destroyed. However, Lin Moyu wouldn't give them the chance. The void god rune flew out, and the fan flapped again, creating a gust of wind that wrinkled space and sent the void god rune to the lizard god realm's Tao lords. The void god rune unfolded, revealing the 1,000 paths and myriad images formation. ko-fi.com/translate-toki only donate if you want to. My Patreon is now up. Go to email protected translate toki. Remove the @ symbol and type a